On the Blue Star planet in the Dragon Country, in City A, there lived an ordinary guy. His name is Frank Ching, and like all the other townspeople, he is going about his business. But suddenly the cloudless sky above the city suddenly darkens. An inexplicable phenomenon seriously alarms all the residents. A beam of strange light breaks through the gray, crowded clouds. A cloud of light hangs in the air in front of Frank, from which a translucent blue screen is formed. The thing is extremely unusual, perhaps some kind of augmented reality technology, it is not clear. The guy wonders if the other people can see the screen in front of them, but judging by the way they are staring at the empty space in front of them, they clearly can. Ching has never even heard of such advanced technology and has no idea what country could do it. But the guy decides to touch the screen. A message about the imminent opening of the world of chaos immediately appears. People react differently to the mysterious warning. The window says that the opening of the world of carnage, called the heavenly chaos, is coming. Healthy people from 15 to 50 years old will be transported there from all over the world at the same time. The heavenly chaos is home to various races, demons, and giant monsters. The world of chaos is filled with disasters and murders, but also with opportunities and treasures. You can easily gain eternal life or lose your life at any moment. From a strange black cloud, streaks of light stretch to almost every window in the city of A. People find themselves inside mysterious pillars of light. Nobody understands what is happening, but it is impossible to get out of the pillars, and the children cannot get to their parents. Frank, inside the light column, wonders if the Blue Dragon Star was really attacked by aliens. Here, the system gives an ultimatum that what is happening is the only chance to save the country, and also wishes people good luck in the beginning chaos. The window welcomes the newcomers to Village 911. Each village is home to 1,000 people. Ching falls from a perfectly normal blue sky. Birds fly beneath it, and below you can see a completely ordinary-looking village with identical roofs of houses. The guy lands right through the roof onto the hard floor. After such a far from soft landing, the realization gradually comes. Heavenly chaos is reality. The window says that Frank is in the newcomer's house. The dwelling is under the blessing of the heavenly path. No one can enter without the consent of the owner. In the house, the speed of energy and physical strength recovery is doubled. An interface is available, as in familiar earthly games, plus a personal data board. The guy sees age 22, level 1, no skills, talent not awakened, agility 9, strength 8, endurance 8, but energy, 28th combat rating 1 star. Frank decides to check out the general chat to find out the mood of the displaced people. The world channel is currently not available. People are panicking and terrified. They are looking for their family members. Some are hoping for help from the government. Some are sure that they were abducted by aliens for experiments. Fantasy novel fans will recognize the familiar storylines, but they don't yet know who the main character will be. But some men compare stats. A boxing fan has a fighting rating of almost 2 stars, strength 18, endurance 14, agility 13, but energy 7. Frank understands that these 4 indicators affect the combat rating. If you raise them, the rating, and accordingly, the chance of survival will increase. Only a couple of people with ratings almost up to the limit of 1 star. On average, the ratings of newcomers are no more than 10 points. Frank's stats don't reach 10, in his opinion, because of excessive thinness. However, the energy is the highest 13 points, half as much, so he was lucky. The window informs that the innate talent will now awaken based on the indicators of the 4 parameters. There are 9 ranks of innate talents. The weakest is F, then in ascending order E, D, C, B, A, S, SS. SSS is the strongest possible rank. Moreover, SS and SSS are unique. Frank is not particularly optimistic, but he hopes for a useful talent. He speculates that uniqueness means that no one else has the same talent. When the system asks him if he wants to awaken his innate talent, the guy says yes. And at that very second, he finds himself in a very strange place. He seems to be floating in zero gravity, and strange glowing blue balls are flying around. Some of them are flying past with noticeable acceleration. Based on the fantasy novels he has read, Frank decides that a strong talent will be in a ball of a special color, and that it must be found. But suddenly one of the balls crashes right into the guy, and immediately disappears inside the chest. The system congratulates Frank on awakening his SSS rank infinite extraction talent. Extraction can be used on any target, the effect will be random. The guy will have to find out experimentally the effectiveness of the talent. because the explanation of a random effect means nothing to him. The window reports that this newbie village has completed the awakening of talents, 194 people with E-class talent, and 787 people with F-class talent. Frank realizes that less than 2% out of 1,000, only 17 people have received D-rank talents. The entire general chat is already buzzing about it. He sees that 2 people have awakened a talent of rank C or higher. One is himself. Chin wonders who the other lucky person is and what level of talent he has. Immediately, a message from Sam Liu appears in the chat that he has a C-rank talent, control of magnetic fields. The chat explodes with comments like, "Cool. Their village will have its own Magneto. There are many people willing to work for Sam Liu or follow him." Frank decides that in a world of assassination, it would be wiser to hide his talent rank if there was such a stir in the chat room around Class C. Ching will keep the rank of his talent a secret, like a trump card. The window informs that it is now allowed to leave the houses. The trial of newcomers will begin in 10 seconds. The losers will simply die. The system advises to hunt animals, monsters, and demons, collecting their energy for development, and informs that weapons are available for equipment. The guy's delighted. The interface has no physical form, but it stores real objects, just like in the game. He takes out a level 0 beginner's sword with +2 attack power. Frank tries swinging a short, rusty sword, which isn't too bad. It looks like it would be easy to kill a bull with such a weapon, and the +2 attack effect is noticeable. But if you improve this thing, then it will be a different matter. And the guy decides to try his innate talent on the beginner's sword. When the talent is activated, the sword glows blue. The window says that the infinite extraction was successful. The sediment and rust are removed from the novice sword. It becomes a refined steel sword of level 1 with +5 attack power. If you're going to eat honey, you should eat it with a spoon, and Frank decides to once again apply his talent to the sword. But enough is enough. Extraction fails due to low target quality according to system information. King was prepared for this turn of events in his heart. After all, it would be a bug if he could constantly improve through endless extraction. However, the weapons in his hands are much better than those of the other people in the village. Behind the door of the house, you can hear the voices of the settlers saying, "What a big village, even with a square." Frank decides to leave the house too, to see the world on the other side of the door. Pterodactyls circle carefree in the bright blue sky above the Newcomer village 911. Everywhere around you can hear complaints that everyone who doesn't reach level 10 in 7 days will die in this terrible world where the system forces you to kill monsters. People also ask each other what talent they have. Mostly it's increased speed, improved hearing, or sense of smell. Gradually, people flock to the square, in the middle of which a portal rises. However, no one has yet dared to enter it and explore. Frank believes that the portal serves as an exit from the peaceful village into the outside world of bloodshed and murder. There is a sound from behind that resembles an explosion. Everyone is wondering what it was. Perhaps a wild animal broke into the village? But in the crater stands a boxing enthusiast named Ivan, whom the guy knows from the general chat. People are talking about how cool and strong Ivan is, asking what talent he has. A boxing enthusiast reports that he has become the proud owner of the D-rank talent, Frenetic Strength, which triples his strength when activated. Frank remembers how Ivan bragged in the chat about his strength being 18 points. But with talent, it comes out to 54, so he split the boulder with one blow. Someone else also has a talent for increasing strength, but it is of E rank, which only doubles strength. Everyone is certainly impressed by Ivan's visual demonstration. The boxing fan is thrilled by the prospect of increasing his own power. Ivan is confident that all the sweat he has shed in the gym will pay off for him, and he will spend the best part of his life in this world. There is also talk of Sam, who has awakened a C-rank talent in the style of Magneto. Ivan snorts that in this world of brute force, only the fittest survive. A boxing enthusiast is about to enter the portal so that everyone can see how strong the beasts are outside the village. People are murmuring their approval, and the big guy enters the portal. Everyone freezes in anticipation. Frank muses that Ivan is all muscle and no brain, since he's dragging everyone into the unknown. Ivan wanders through the forest, muttering that Sam and his S rank don't understand anything, but now he'll take down the beast and everyone will understand who's boss here. Suddenly he hears someone's footsteps. Ivan is worried that it might be a monster approaching him. The system reports that the newbie Ivan was killed by a level 1 beast, the Bloody Rabbit. The window explains that level 1 beasts have a combat rating of 3 stars. Level 2 beasts have a rating of 4 stars. Level 3 beasts have a rating of 5 stars, and so on. People are in shock, since even the big guy who crushed the boulder lost his head in a couple of minutes. Then they all have to leave the village as if to the slaughter. The window states that a protective barrier is keeping the beasts away from the village, but only for 7 days during the trial of newcomers. Frank is a little disappointed that the strongest man in the village was killed by the weakest level 1 beast. It turns out that surviving in this world will be harder than he thought. Besides, in a week the barrier will disappear, meaning that people won't be able to hide in the village either. But Ching is sure that the system wouldn't give a bunch of hints if the task was impossible. 4 people with 1 star can easily take down a beast with 3 stars. Frank isn't the only one who comes up with this idea. People are starting to slowly form groups to kill monsters in order to evolve and not die. People discuss their talents and characteristics to work better together. This is how groups cooperate, where someone has a higher rank or useful talent, and others have high stats. A young man also approaches Frank with an offer to join forces. But Ching gratefully refuses. Group leveling is not for him, because such innate talent is best hidden until he becomes stronger. When about 15 minutes have passed since the first group entered the portal, the guy decides to follow in the hopes of leveling up a couple of levels. On the other side of the portal, there is a gloomy forest. Frank has the feeling that at least a dinosaur is about to pounce on him from behind the bushes. The guy smells an extremely unpleasant odor. The source of the stench is the corpse of boxing enthusiast Ivan. King understands that the big guy died due to his own stupidity. But the corpse of a fellow villager lying in front of him reminds him of the mortal danger at every step. And in order to survive, you must firstly be careful and secondly level up as quickly as possible. Frank decides to try to see if his talent will work on a dead body. The extraction is successful, and Ching gains Ivan's innate talent, Class D Raging Force. Since he initially has 8 points, when the talent is activated, his strength will increase to 24 points. That is, 2 times stronger than an ordinary person from the village. Frank dreams of eventually becoming the owner of tens of thousands of innate talents and reaching the peak of human capabilities. The feeling of gaining more power seems simply exciting to the guy. Instead of a memorial speech, Ching remarks that Ivan was strong, but had weak speed and defense, and died due to his own recklessness. Ivan's death proved that individual weaknesses must be compensated for by cooperation in this most dangerous world. But this is not an option for Ching. The guy uses infinite extraction on the deceased sword and becomes the owner of 2 purified steel swords. Frank then discovers the carcass of a dead animal. He believes that this is Ivan's killer, a level 1 blood rabbit. The wounds on the carcass indicate that the surrounded animal died from blows to the back. Extraction on the carcass works, giving +2 strength, which makes the guy very happy, because thanks to his talent, it turns out you can even increase stats. Now he has a strength of 10. That is like an ordinary person from the village. With frantic strength, the indicator will rise to 30 points. Frank discovers through experimentation that anything below level 20 can only be extracted once, so he sets out to find more corpses. Ching reasons that a large group will be able to kill more monsters, so he goes along the path where there are most tracks. The window reports that a level 1 giant rodent has killed a newbie. Extraction from a corpse brought talent and from a monster strength, but beasts have no talents. But for a level 1 beast, only +2 was received, which means more powerful beasts are needed. And if you find the corpse of a newbie, perhaps you can extract a useful innate talent. A message pops up about the death of another newbie in a fight with a giant rodent. As much as Chin wanted to sit out these messages in safety, if he remained weak, he would simply become someone's snack. The guy moves forward in search of the group. Soon he can already smell the strong smell of blood. And he finds a man and a girl who were killed by a giant rodent. The thought occurs that a level 1 beast with a combat rating of 3 stars may be nearby, and Frank is no match for the monster for now. But this thought doesn't stop the guy. Behind the bodies, one can see the enormous carcass of a giant rodent. Normally, Ching would have refrained from attacking, but in this case, the beast was wounded and both of its legs were broken. The guy carefully approaches the predator. A meter before the target, he activates a furious force and rushes at the enemy, who has raised his grinning face. The monster resists, but a wounded beast is no match for Frank, and the rodent doesn't shine with intelligence. The intention to finish off the beast is realized without any particular losses. manages to thrust the sword straight into the creature's heart. During the fight, I even managed to punch the animal's bloody face once. Frank learns the hard way that even a wounded giant monster shouldn't be written off too easily. The window informs that killing a level 1 beast awards 30 energy points. The guy feels a pleasant warmth and the fatigue receding. In his status, he sees that after killing the giant rodent, his level has risen a little. Now it is 30 out of 100 points. Ching sees this as a great start to leveling up. Infinite extraction gives +2 to dexterity, which is now 11 points. But Frank wants to find a level 2 beast to raise his stat points faster. Now the guy moves on to the real goal of finding this group. Extraction grants a Class F olfactory enhancement that allows you to increase your sense of smell tenfold, as well as a speed enhancement talent. This talent is extremely useful for Chin, although it may not be so important to other people, but now it will be easier to find corpses and avoid dangerous beasts. The boy also uses his talent on 2 of the novice's short swords, obtaining purified steel ones. Frank activates the olfactory enhancement. The whirlwind of smells is so overwhelming that you feel nauseous. The guy calms down and tries to slowly get used to the new sensation in order to learn to distinguish smells. Now the smell of dirt is perceived as a light aroma. The floral scent is also immediately noticeable, and also the smells of other people. Frank realizes that these people are nearby and approaching. A group of people hunt a giant rodent. One of them distracts the beast's attention. And when the rodent is engulfed by the imaginary victim, they all attack together from 4 sides. The beast is defeated by joint efforts. The window reports the accrual of 30 energy points. People lament over the carcass. How unlucky they were to encounter 2 rodents at once. In the end, everyone is injured, and 2 of the group are killed. The survivors are grateful for their leader's strategic skills and decide to go and finish off the wounded rat that killed 2 of their comrades. Frank, hiding in the grass nearby, realizes that they are talking about the girl and man he used the extraction on. But since the guy killed their wounded prey, it would be unwise to catch their eye. Ching activates the speed increase talent. In the world of chaos, humanity and compassion can lead to the loss of life. One must adapt to survive. For the next 3 hours, Ching wandered around, studying the situation, while the other newcomers worked hard to bring down groups of beasts. There are 5 types of level 1 beasts in this plane: the blood rabbit, the giant rodent, and the gray plain wolf. There is also a mad boar, and the most dangerous of all, the poisonous snake of 9 rings. Frank finds the 4th carcass of the mad boar. However, the window informs that the limit has been reached and extraction is unsuccessful. It turns out that after 3 extractions from identical level 1 beasts, the extraction limit is activated. The guy used the extractions 3 times on all the local animals except the poisonous 9-ring snake. The system also announced 7 deaths, but Ching only found 1 corpse from which he extracted an E-class vision enhancement talent. The combat power has reached 2 stars, so Frank is confident that he can defeat a level 1 beast on his own without any problem. He manages to catch the scent of a poisonous snake and an unfamiliar scent nearby, reminiscent of a fruit or flower. Ching, like a hound, rushes towards the target. By smell, the guy detects a snake near the source of the second aroma. It looks like a poisonous snake is protecting this unusual fruit. On the plane, the most powerful predator is the snake, for which 40 points are awarded. The beast notices a foreign presence and immediately rushes into the attack, splashing saliva. Frank can't figure out why this particular snake is so slow. The guy guesses that the snake might be digesting its recently eaten prey, which is why it moves sluggishly. This makes the task easier, but another problem arises. The sword cannot cut through the reptile's 2 dense scales. The guy waits for the moment when the snake points its open mouth straight at him. And at that moment, he activates his innate talent of frantic strength, delivering a powerful blow. The sword enters the snake's palate. Frank's plan is working, and he begins to chop the snake's body into pieces. Killing a poisonous snake gives 40 points, and the guy still has to kill another first-level beast to move to level 2 himself. There was no problem with the poisonous snake because it had a full stomach, and Ching decides to cut it open and see what's inside. It turns out that a poisonous snake digested a man. King reflects that in the world of chaos, death is at every turn. It's all about how to die, to be a prey or a predator, because only the strongest will survive. Extraction gives out another F-class vision enhancement talent. 2 similar talents combine to give out an E-class one. Now vision improves 20 times. Night vision appears, and the skill Eye of True Sight awakens, which shows the true essence of things. So Frank understands that the same talents will increase the class, plus there will be a chance to awaken the talent skill. The guy decides to immediately try out his first skill on a mysterious plant that was guarded by a poisonous snake. The eye, like a fantastic scanner, gives out data. The level 1 spiritual fruit, red snake fruit, increases stamina and gives resistance to poisons. Frank is inspired because now he immediately learns everything about incomprehensible things, and this is a huge advantage. The guy chews the spiritual fruit with the thought that he will never miss anything useful again. The snack gives 8 points of endurance and increases poison resistance by 100%. To get 8 points, the extraction would have to be used on 4 beasts. Frank regrets that there is only one fruit growing here, but he wonders if the whole plant can be used, not just the fruit. The eye says, the essence of the earth and sky is accumulated by a spiritual plant, which grows 1 leaf in 1 year, 7 leaves in 7 years, then a fruit grows in 7 years. Once the fruit is picked, the leaves will completely wither and become useless within a few days. King hates wasteful waste, so he decides to try extracting it from a plant that has been absorbing nature's essences for years. Infinite extraction produces spirit plant essence, which when consumed will add +2 stamina. The guy knew that such a plant couldn't be useless. The essence brings as many points as the corpse of a local beast. Frank immediately eats the magic pill. The window congratulates him on leveling up to the maximum of 2 stars. It's a pity that the 4 extracted talents are not taken into account. Now he is level 170 out of 100, energy 32, endurance 28, and poison resistance +100, agility 21, strength 20. The guy is confident that he can take down 3 or 4 level 1 beasts on his own. So he decides to use the extraction on another poisonous snake and then leave the newbie village. Frank intends to find other wild animals to increase his stats and power to survive in this harsh world. Then stones start flying towards him. The boy bounces off the stone shells, jumping like a hare on a lawn. Ching wonders, has he really fallen into some kind of ambush? Having jumped onto the tree, he immediately understands that it is not an ambush at all. It is the raging poisonous snake of 9 rings, which he did not smell because of the smell of blood of the recently killed reptile. Now he will not have to look for prey himself. Alas, a whole squad is trying to kill the snake, but the sword of a level 0 rookie does not penetrate its scales. The creature is also incredibly fast, which prevents the archer from aiming. Julius shouts to aim for the vital organs. Frank didn't expect to run into this guy here. Before entering the portal, Julius gathered a group for himself, possessing the D-class talent Light Control. There were 8 people in his group. There were 17 D-class talents in Village 911, and after Ivan's death, there were 16 left, and Julius was one of them. There were 6 people left from his group. An archer runs to Julius to ask if their leader's okay, but he asks to quickly kill the snake while it is immobilized. King understands that Julius is attacking directly. The group members are attacking from the sides. The fight will exhaust the snake, and sooner or later, it will die. The guy tries the eye on a live snake and sees all its characteristics plus a 0.1% chance of extraction. That is, if you kill the bastard, something might drop, but with a chance of 1 in 1,000, which is extremely low. Here the snake finally dies, and the group members discuss the number of points they received. Some have 3, some have 5. And some guy was awarded only 1 point. The archer reassures the boy that the points are awarded by the system based on personal contribution to killing the beast. Frank understands that the system encourages cooperative hunting and that a poisonous snake is worth 40 points. But when divided by 7, it doesn't add up to much. Julius begins to glow. Everyone asks the leader what is happening to him. He assures that everything is fine. He just increased his level. Someone in the group has 1700s. Everyone reassures him that as long as they are together, they will gradually cope. Frank sees a level 2 host for the first time and uses the Eye of True Sight. Julius has 21 energy, 19 endurance, 22 agility, and 20 strength. King believes that Julius has a 50-50 chance of taking down at least 1 level 1 beast on his own. The guy is only level 1, but his battle rating at peak is 2 stars, so he should be able to defeat Julius with his level 2 without any problems. One of the group members says that he and his comrade, who was eaten by a snake, were scouting the area and came across 2 snakes at once. They immediately ran away, but the comrade tripped and fell, so one of the snakes swallowed him. The survivor has a talent for increasing speed, which saved him. Julius calls for revenge for his dead comrade and leads the squad, ordering them to be careful and warn in case of danger. Frank guesses that he is talking about the man he found in the belly of a snake he had just killed. At the thought of this, the guy moved his leg slightly. The squad's archer instantly reacts to the sound by firing an arrow, which plunges into the trunk right in front of the stunned guy's nose. The archer demands that the guy come out from behind the tree, and he guesses that the girl probably has a talent that sharpens hearing. Ching comes out with his hands raised, assuring that he was just passing by. The archer looks wide-eyed and calls out the boy's name. He asks if they know each other, because he doesn't remember this girl at all. Yuli asks if Yana knows the guy. She mumbles like, no, but she saw him in the chat. Yana wants to know why Ching is alone, because it is dangerous. And he thinks about how amazingly good the girl's memory is, who remembered him in the chat. Frank is annoyed that the group is in no hurry to leave, because he is eager to use the extraction on the snake corpse. Yana asks if Julius is okay with Frank joining them. Their group has lost one member, and a newcomer will increase their chances of survival. Julius is well aware of the difference in strength between people and animals, so he needs to strengthen his stable position. It is necessary to attract as many loyal supporters as possible to the group. Julius asks to show stats and talent. If they are good, Ching will be accepted. Yana asks the guy to show their level 2 boss information about his characteristics. Frank refuses, saying he prefers to level up alone. The guy leaves. The archer tries to stop him, but Julius doesn't force anyone to join. Yulia and Sin's group go their separate ways. Yana realizes that Frank doesn't remember her, but she mentally asks the guy to survive. The group reaches the resting place of the second poisonous snake of 9 rings, and he discovers the carcass of the beast, cut into pieces like a cold cut. Among the pieces is the body of their dead comrade. Based on the degree of drying of the blood, the group understands that the snake was killed about 15 minutes ago. The beast was killed with one blow, and there were only traces of one person around. The guys realize that the bastard was killed by a lone professional. Yana wonders if this was really Chin's doing, but he was the only one nearby and refused to join the group. Here the system reports that one of the newbies has reached level 3, so the top 100 rating in village number 911 becomes available. Julius believes he was wrong about Frank Ching, who was only in 47th place and at level 1. Looking at the rating, the guy sees that 8 people already have level 2. In 4 hours, the limit of extraction from wild animals has been reached in this meadow. It is time to go hunting. The window informs that the first one to reach level 10 will receive a gold chest as a reward, the second, a silver one, the third, a bronze one. The first 100 people to reach a level 10 will receive a chest that can be opened immediately. Chests come in dark steel, the lowest rank, then bronze, silver, gold, dark gold, purple diamond, historical rank, and mythical. It is clear that the higher the rank of the chest, the cooler its contents should be. Frank is determined to take first place in this competition. The guy discovers a level 1 silver wolf hybrid with a combat rating of 4 stars. Trait: cunning, cruelty, and bloodthirstiness. Danger 1%. Ching activates a frenzied force and speed boost when attacking the wolf. But the wolf's skin is so tough that it seems as if Frank is trying to cut iron. Using his talents, the guy can't even hurt the creature. And the hybrid declares that the pathetic little man dared to invade his territory and will be torn to pieces for it. The wolf feels that this particular level 1 human is much stronger than most level 3 humans. Frank had heard somewhere that wolves have strong heads and backs, which means their weak point must be their belly. It is in the beast's stomach that the guy strikes. Fatal strike. The window says 100 XP awarded for killing the mutated silver wolf. Level 2 obtained. Strength plus 10, intelligence plus 10, endurance plus 10, dexterity plus 10. 5 attribute points awarded. The guy's wounds are healing, and the increase in level feels like a surge of energy spreading through the body, which is very pleasant. Killing a silver wolf drops a chest of dark steel. Before opening the reward, Frank mentally requests that there be level 2 gear or weapons inside. Then he opens the chest, and voila. There is a level 2 blood wolf battle sword made of titanium alloy, which is fused with wolf blood essence, which increases attack power and gives a 100% chance of injury. Frank is delighted with his new sword. Now he is not afraid of meeting wild animals, who seem to hear his thoughts and came themselves to try out the guy's new weapon, clicking their claws on the stones. Ching believes that these are the comrades of the slain silver wolf, whom OK could somehow summon while dying. He is very happy with this arrangement. The mountain itself is coming to Magomed, and the fight begins. Moreover, these wolves are prone to sudden attacks. But killing them with the new sword is not difficult at all. Frank feels like these dogs are no match for him, and soon he is surrounded only by the corpses of wolves who have come to their death. The guy feels how much his abilities have improved, because he took out 5 creatures in less than a minute. At level 1, this was unachievable. Once again, Frank is convinced that the forced movement to the world of chaos is not a dream. Therefore, he intends to level up and become invincible, so that he can eventually find a way out of the nightmare that has engulfed him. Ring of Light kills Blood Rabbit. It was Julius who brought down the beast, and the members of his squad praise the mighty leader who organized teamwork. The window reads, Ching was the first to kill the mutated beast and receives 1 prestige point, which is only awarded to the first person to kill the mutant beast. The system reports that 4 newcomers, including 1 level 2, were killed by a mutated level 1 fanged boar beast. Julius realizes that the mutated beasts are incredibly strong. He was proud of himself for killing the beast alone, and Ching himself killed the mutant. The window shows that Frank has moved from 47th to 5th place in the village ranking. Yuli's squad is surprised by the speed of the guys leveling up, as if from a power-up pill. Frank stands on a mountain of wolf corpses, watching the sunset and feeling satisfied with his own progress. The window displays a request for help from the only surviving member of the squad. A monstrous mutant boar tore everyone apart. Only the talent of speed saved the poor guy. The man is 50 kilometers south of the village, and the boar is wandering nearby. Frank estimates that he can get to the designated location in about 5 minutes. Which makes sense. Killing a mutant beast gives almost 3 times more than killing a regular wild beast, not counting the chance of a chest dropping. Arriving at the scene of the battle with the fanged boar, Ching sees that the bodies are still there. However, he smells not only the bodies in the boar, but also the bloody rabbit. Usually, different animals don't roam together. The guy uses extraction, but only gets +2 to dexterity. The second attempt also fails. The last time it failed was when he reached the extraction limit for level 1 beasts. Then Ching extracts another F-grade smell enhancement talent and 2 E-grade endurance enhancements. But the smell enhancement does not improve. Frank guesses that it is because he extracted a similar talent of a lower rank than the one he extracted earlier. Nevertheless, the guy is happy that he received an innate talent for increasing endurance, and now he has talents for all stats. Frank discovers a drag mark. He wonders why the boar would drag the body, unless the beast decided to eat the prey in the hole. But what is missing is a body with a D-class talent, so it is worth hurrying before the body's eaten. Frank hesitates when entering the lair, where danger wafts from, but the guy reassures himself that with his current abilities, he can handle the boar. Here he smells a familiar smell. The eye reveals that a poisonous mutant snake of 10 rings, level 1, with a combat rating of 5 stars is attacking. The snake has a 1% critical hit chance, as well as the controlled status that can enhance combat power and the poison cloud skill. Frank feels that the 4-star mutant wolf is much weaker than this 5-star snake. The snake immediately releases a cloud of poisonous gas from its gaping mouth. The guy's eyes immediately become inflamed. He feels like he's just the icing on the cake for all the bloodthirsty inhabitants of this ill-fated lair. Due to the poisonous gas, Ching sees only blurry silhouettes. Despite the temporary limitation of vision, Frank has no intention of dying. With a desperate cry, he swings his sword, not allowing anyone to get close to him, and he waves, not without success. Soon, only the snake remains. The rest of the animals run away. As the boy expected, the reptile attacks him from behind. And with a cry that his hearing and sense of smell should not be discounted, Frank rushes at the enemy, not intending to give up. Killing the poisonous mutated 10-ring snake rewards 110 experience points, also drops a dark steel chest. Frank feels that if it weren't for his talent for endurance, he would have had a really hard time. The system congratulates him on level 3. Intelligence, endurance, agility, strength, plus 10 points. 5 attribute points are awarded. The transition to level 3 is very convenient. The guy's eyes are instantly healed. It is very convenient that at the moment of increasing the level, the body returns to the optimal state. It is not scary to lose a leg or an arm, let alone go blind. An unexpected and extremely useful item falls out of the chest. Frank also discovers a dimensional portal in the cave. He remembers that all the animals that attacked him so suddenly disappeared into this portal. Chin is not afraid of wild animals, but he senses that there is something more sinister than ordinary predators lurking behind the portal. On the other side, there is a cave with many level 1 spiritual plants. The eye reveals that there is blood frost grass, cottonflower tuber, Aluritopterus argentii, heart grass, and bone tree grass. Also in the cave are a strange dead man, a missing corpse, and 3 wild animals behind the dead man. The system shows that Ching is in another world, so the rating is unavailable, only chat and personal information. The Eye of True Sight reveals that on the mountain of skulls and bones sits an extremely evil man, but dead, level 4, 6 stars. The dead man's specialty is dark energy, and he waits for living flesh to be reborn. Skills and talents are not shown. In the dead man's hands is a scythe of the most terrible appearance. The beasts are clearly under the control of the strange undead. So if there is a fight, Frank will be at a serious disadvantage. So the guy decides to leave now, but come back when he gets stronger and deal with the undead. At this thought, the dead man opens a glowing eye, and he declares that since a level 3 bug from the small world crawled in, it will stay to use its flesh for reincarnation. In addition to the 3 beasts, the dead man is also emitting glowing chains. Ching believes that these chains are some kind of skill. It's not easy to avoid them. While not forgetting about the attacks of the 3 beasts, the chains catch up with the guy who can't move in them. The dead man rants that the stupid animals brought him only corpses, with the help of whose blood he barely supported his body. And then suddenly, like manna from heaven, a living body appears on his territory, which can be used for rebirth. It's clear to Frank, he needs to free himself from the dead man's control, otherwise he really could lose his head here. Despair gives the boy strength, and the next moment the chains that bound him are cut. After that, it's the turn of the wild animals. Dead man is perplexed, because the people of the small world have about 30 points. With such indicators, it is impossible to resist him, much less get out of the control of the mind. And this person even rushes into attack. True, the little man's attack fails. The dead man declares that the man dared to underestimate him. People are simply unable to resist his mind penetration. The dead man likes the body, and it is an honor for a man to give it up. Frank advises the dead man to lie down and adds the existing attribute points to the mind. The corpse feels resistance. It does not like the person. Therefore, it intends to tear Ching's soul into pieces and incinerate them in hellfire. Undead orders Fang Boar to kill human. System reports +10 intelligence. The dead man feels the strengthening of the human mind. Ching got a class 1 storage ring from the poisonous snake. That is, even if the guy drops the sword, he can get the weapon out instantly. The guy decides to first kill the mutated animals, and then deal with the dead man, who mumbles that Ching is not his equal, even though he escaped from mind control. Looking at the animals attacking at once, Frank understands that he needs at least 2 seconds to get rid of the mind control. The dead man even tries to squeeze out a semblance of a smile in anticipation. But then it turns out that both wild animals are already dead. Frank, who hated wastefulness, took the snake's poison gland with him after killing it, just for such an occasion. The insightful guy was sure that the poison of the 10-ring snake would definitely not be superfluous in battles. Frank realized that the dead man was unable to move, and after the death of all 3 mutant beasts, he would hardly be able to defend himself adequately. The undead scream that despicable humans always use dirty tricks. But the screams do not stop the sword. For killing a dead man, a creature of evil, 210 experience, 10 justice points are given. The window congratulates you on passing the hidden exam of the system. Ching becomes a level 1 judge for this intelligence, endurance, agility, and strength +20. The judge kills evil beings and gods who break the rules. The title of judge is given to 1 in a billion. It was clear to Frank that the evil being was a dead person, so the Eye of True Sight indicated extreme malice. It's not clear yet what justice points are for, but they are clearly for something useful. Divine Seal skill has been acquired. Now the same talents can give both Divine Seal and Beast Taming skill. Frank is delighted. Now you can send a group of wild animals to hunt and just get experience. But the window says that the activation conditions are not met. Beast Taming skill can activate the C-class talent linked 6 senses, or the talent Mind Enhancement, with a taming pill. Chinu finds the skill learning conditions too difficult. He wonders if the dead man has a taming pill, or at least a recipe for one. There's a love bone from a soulmate, an eye gouged out by a snake girl, a pink apron from a skeleton king, a necklace stolen from a demon's concubine. There are even socks that haven't been washed for 200 years, but no taming pill has been found. Frank begins extracting, which grants the D-class mind enhancement talent, plus 3 strength, plus 3 dexterity. Now, to master the taming of animals, you need to either find a pill or the linked 6 senses. With the strengthening of the mind, it is possible to control the storage ring and collect everything necessary into it at once. Spiritual plants obediently pack themselves. If Ching had obtained the taming pill, he would have been able to control not spiritual fruits and herbs, but wild beasts. Extracting from a corpse that disappeared from the plains yields the D-class talent fire control, as well as speed enhancement, also a D-class talent. The offensive talent of fire makes the guy very happy, who thinks that in the future he will be able to attack with fire from afar without close combat. After frying the meat, Frank savors it and looks into the chat, where everyone is buzzing about leveling up. They mention that after level 3, Chin's name turned gray. The villagers decide that if Frank died, his name would disappear from the rankings. The guy decides to first restore his strength in the safe space of another world, and then continue the hunt. The meat smells super nice, it's fatty and juicy. Shashlik has a terrific invigorating effect. The window says that Ching has discovered a trick. Eating grilled meat restores strength faster. Frank gets 1 reputation point for his first discovery. People were wondering why Chin's name had turned gray, but it turns out he's enjoying life. The system reports that strength is restored only by warm water and cooked food. Cold food and water do not give a restorative effect. The trade channel is activated. The villagers are thinking, most of them need to somehow get fire to cook food. Frank, who is devouring the meat, wonders if he will be able to sell his delicacy. And the guy posts an ad on the trading channel about exchanging 3 kilograms of cooked meat for 1 carcass of a wild animal. For being the first to use the trade channel, the guy gets 1 prestige point. There is also someone willing to exchange the animal's corpse for fried meat. The corpse of a level 2 saber-toothed mountain tiger is exchanged for 3 kilograms of shashlik. For the first transaction, both the seller and the buyer are awarded 1 prestige point. Yuli's group has just killed an animal, and the people are asking the group leader to exchange the carcass with Frank for some cooked shashlik. From the exchanged animal carcasses, Frank extracts plus 2 endurance, plus 2 intelligence. He is pleased that he does not even have to look for animals. Julius sends Chin a message asking him to send him 6 kilograms of shashlik, and he will be indebted to the guy. The chat comments that it is unlikely that Chin could need anything from Yuli. The guy is outraged. Who does Yuli think he is? But he answers reservedly that the amount of meat is limited, and whoever has time eats it. Chat praises Chin's modesty. At the moment, the guy himself resembles more of a merchant than a warrior or a hunter. An even more greedy merchant appears, who exchanges 50 kilograms of meat for level 1 equipment. Frank also offers to exchange a level 1 beginner weapon for a spiritual fruit, 3 spiritual plants, or other level 1 equipment. The chat is exploding with guesses about where Ching could have gotten so many level 1 weapons. They assume a crafting skill, like in the games. The guy exchanges a level 1 strength bracelet, which gives plus 7 strength, for a level 1 steel sword. Here the window shows that the village of newbies number 137 has made a bet on resources against the village of newbies number 911. The resources of the losers will be reduced by 50%, each in the losing village. 20 attribute points. The winners will increase resources and receive plus 20 attribute points. The winner will be the first to reach level 5. The winner will receive a silver chest and 50 attribute points. The rating is hidden during the bet. Frank believes that the price of losing is too high. It is not clear what village number 137 is doing because the leveling will drop and few will pass the test. The chat is buzzing, but everyone agrees that hashtag 911 will win if Julius levels up to level 5 faster. In village number 137, the newcomer Baron Edward, as a member of the noble blood tribe, promises to lead to victory because he is already at level 4. The residents support the Baron, who made a special bet at night, which gives him an advantage. Frank is shocked because the Baron is a vampire, a representative of another race. This means that the system has deliberately gathered residents from one country in each village. As a reward for placing a bet, the system opens habitat maps for all animals from levels 1 to 10. Ching wonders whether the conflict between villages will further lead to conflict between countries or continents. But now the most important thing is the stake between the newcomers' villages. You need to kill higher-level animals to not miss the chance to win. Improving your vision allows you to see in pitch darkness like it's morning. The sense of smell helps to detect animals whose habitats are indicated on the map. Frank arrives at a hunting area with level 4 beasts. Jing deals with them in no time. Suddenly, another enemy jumps out. The eye identifies it as a level 5 golden-eyed half-tiger, agile with sharp claws. The enemy had a sudden attack skill of fierce wind and a reward rate of 1%. The beast attacked so suddenly that Ching did not have time to smell it. Frank encounters a beast that is half-human for the first time. While he was thinking about this, the guy caught the scent of a spiritual plant. There are always animals near such plants. You can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. However, judging by the map, the animals are of a higher rank. The aroma comes from a level 2 dragon fruit that has grown after absorbing a dragon's blood flow. Increases agility, strength, and stamina. The fruit gives a 0.1% chance to receive a stream of pure dragon blood, and it is guarded by a 6th level Furious Bear King with 12 stars and a 60% chance of reward. The guy decides to attack suddenly, but the 3-headed Bear King simply brushes him off like a fly. Frank didn't expect such speed from the huge bear. The bear comes up and each of the 3 heads tells the boy to just go away and he will spare his life because he doesn't want to waste his time on the boy. The 3 talking heads seem disgusting and strange to the guy. He in turn suggests the same thing to the king of the bears. In response, the heads foam at the mouth and threaten to tear the level 4 person into pieces. Frank is not intimidated by such words and he attacks. And fortunately, 1 bear head flies out of the game. One of the remaining heads curses people. The other tells her to shut up. The guy realizes that the bear's neck is incredibly strong, and even using all his strength, he can only take off 1 head at a time. But then the window notifies that the beast goes berserk for 10 minutes. The bear roars deafeningly and threatens to send the man to hell. King is not surprised that the bear's roar is similar to a dragon's, because he sat next to a dragon fruit and could absorb its characteristics. However, due to the state of rage, the bear's defense increases and Frank is unable to even scratch it. The enraged bear screams that the level 4 man will pay for his actions. But then Ching also became furious. The window states that the Blood Wolf's war sword is imbued with flame power, increasing fire damage by 10. The bear doesn't stand a chance. Frank admits that the fight was not easy. The king of the bears is much stronger than just mutated wild animals. But the window did not announce the bear's death. Therefore, the furious bear king is still alive. To be absolutely sure, Frank cuts off the remaining heads. Killing the furious bear king is worth 500 energy points. Kong was the first to kill the bear king, for which +2 prestige points were awarded. A bronze treasure chest also dropped for a successful hunt. The chest contains the King of Bears combat armor level 2 with +25 defense, +100% cold resistance, and +100% fire resistance. Extraction grants the E-Class talent Blood Evolution, which awakens the power of blood and as a result increases defense, speed, and strength by 30%. Frank eats a dragon fruit. First, the guy is twisted in half. Then the hallucinations begin. He sees and feels himself trapped in the paw of a huge golden dragon. The beast decides to eat him raw or fry him first. The dragon also sees a third option, to simply crush the little man in his paw. Frank looks at the giant, but at the same time he understands that he simply ate the dragon blood fruit, which means that everything that is happening is a hallucination. But the guy won't allow any glitches to control him, so he bites the dragon's paw himself. The dragon calls him a crazy idiot and yells, "Stop eating him! He's real and can teach him dragon secrets." Chin doesn't care. He'll eat the bastard. Frank comes to. The window broadcasts. The fruit has strengthened the blood, +5 agility, endurance, and strength. Awakened part of the power of dragon blood, +8 to strength and endurance, +6 to agility. 0.1% of the blood evolved into the blood of a true dragon. The people of the Blue Star Dragon Country must really be the descendants of real dragons, since the guy was able to obtain a piece of the blood of a true dragon. Frank is almost level 5. 1,190 out of 1,200. 1 beast remains to be killed to win the resource challenge. At this time, the beast is already creeping up. Julius is almost at level 4, and Lord Edward is already level 4,520 out of 1,200. Edward states that everyone can just relax and wait for him to reach level 5 by dawn and make everyone famous. The residents of the vampire village rejoice, because the strongest person, Julius, is only level 3. Here the system reports that Frank Ching from village number 911 has reached level 5 first, and his village wins this resource challenge. Yana is just in shock, as is the entire village number 911. Ching has achieved the impossible unless he is a cheater. Everyone gets 20 stat points. Residents are delighted, the characteristics are useful to everyone, and for some they literally save lives. In village number 137, the picture is completely opposite. Everyone blames Lord Edward for his arrogance. Frank himself gets 50 stat points, 3 prestige points, and a silver chest. Extraction from the last beast, which came at the right moment, gives +2 strength. Chin receives a message that someone has received a resource betting token and wants to exchange it for a Tier 1 refined steel sword. The boy accepts the trade offer. The bet token appears once in each newcomer village, but only the strongest can use it. After activation, in case of victory of the village, the reward of the token owner increases several times. In case of loss, the same with punishment. Residents are asking in the chat when Frank plans to place his bet. King intends to bet on resources in the morning, when everyone has had a good night's sleep and is recuperated. The residents praise the caring leader. But the guy is not driven by concern for the population or fatigue. With his endurance, you can go 3 days without sleep and not get tired. He just wants to get to the most dangerous area with level 10 beasts before making a bet. The most dangerous beasts give the most experience. Killing a dark night owl yields 220 experience points. Frank arrives at a location where, according to the map, level 10 beasts should live, but he doesn't sense any beasts at all. A system glitch? And suddenly the guy starts to fall. He just flies into nowhere. There is nothing around, not even walls, even if it were a gorge. To stop his fall and avoid being crushed, Frank summons fire. It's just in time because you can see a forest below and even some village behind it. As soon as Frank lands, he immediately senses the presence of a powerful beast. But in addition to the animal smell, a very strong smell of corpses comes from everywhere. Due to its concentration, it is impossible to determine the location of the animals. Touching the statue, the boy realizes that it is just an illusion. From above, the place resembled his rookie village 911. But on closer inspection, it's clear that this could be an abandoned village of newcomers. The same could happen to them if they lose. Frank ponders the fairness of the heavens, which give everyone a chance to level up and gain power. And the ruthlessness, all losers die. Suddenly, a squad of strange dog-headed creatures appears. The creatures are something between the ancient Egyptian god Anubis and a knight with the head of a Doberman. The leader states that they are soldiers who guard this settlement. A human shouldn't be here, but since he came, he will die. The dog-headed ones tell a person to prepare for death. The eye identifies them as evil creations of the Hell Soldiers from the mutant class with a 10% chance of dropping a chest. Level above 15. Frank has no idea how to leave this strange place, so he is ready to fight. He has an air scar blade with attack and attack speed +100. A level 4 weapon dropped from a silver chest. The sword also has a wound chance of +100% with a defense ignorance of +30%. The dog-headed man rushes into attack with a spear. Frank activates a frantic strength, increased speed and endurance, and also uses the talent of fire control. The guy thinks that only one soldier is attacking him because the opponents look down on him due to the difference in levels. The soldiers worry if their leader needs help, but they reassure themselves that the leader has killed 10 people, even though he looks like he is having a hard time. The squad decides that their older brother is playing with the man, deliberately missing. In this way, the elder reveals the shortcomings. The leader probably allows the person to think that he can win, but only to ultimately crush the person. Frank is shocked because the dog-headed man just disappeared, so he just slashed the air with his sword. The leader holds the man's head in his paw and acknowledges some of his opponent's skills, but suggests that they end it there, as he doesn't have much time. The speech of the dog-headed leader ends with an unexpected attack by a man. The system reports 10 justice points for killing the Hell Soldier and 2 prestige points. Ching is the first to kill him. The squad wrinkles their canine foreheads, not understanding how something like this could have happened. Frank can't waste a second of time in the world of chaos, especially after receiving the mind enhancement talent. Extraction grants the D-class talent Dark Manipulation. The system reports that the guy becomes a level 2 judge. The Hell Soldier also drops a Dark Seal fragment. The guy remembers how he trained until he was sweating. In order to learn to fully control the weapon, he did the exercises hundreds of thousands of times. But he finally mastered the technique of stealth killing. The dog-headed ones squabble like ordinary dogs, deciding who will go and kill the impudent man. Some of them just got their nails done yesterday, some of them are the youngest. Frank doesn't understand why the squad is in no hurry to avenge the death of their senior comrade. There's clearly some kind of catch here. The guy's thoughts are interrupted by the appearance of an enraged, recently killed leader right behind him. The squad members complain that the leader's caution has become worse. He explains that they haven't fought with people for a long time, and he was simply careless. The leader gloats that the system reported him dead, but he is alive, and adds that the eye of true sight should have shown who they are. The hellish soldiers came straight from hell. This means that they cannot be killed. Frank claims that he's just looking at a bunch of guard dogs. I wonder why they're so confident. He managed to kill once, so he can do it a second time. The second round of the fight begins. Here a stone statue of a rooster crows. Dawn is approaching. A glowing portal appears. The squad calls the leader to the gate. He notices that he is very interested in the man, and if fate wills, they will meet again, so he says goodbye until next time. King underestimated the dogheads. The window reads, "The lost village links all newcomer villages, appearing at night and disappearing at dawn. As long as Frank has the dark seal, he can enter here. Ching promises to return and find the leader when he is strong enough." Here behind the guy's back, a sand centipede of level 12 with 15 stars stands like a mountain, poisonous and blind, but with the talent of improving hearing of Class E. There are already 2 people in the village who have reached level 5, so the regional communication channel will open automatically. Ching is chopping up a centipede. The window reminds us that the region includes 1,000 newcomer villages. Number 911 becomes the 47th village connected to the regional channel. The regional chat is divided in its opinions. Some users think that entering as number 47 is not bad, while others consider number 911 weaklings, complaining about losing half of their resources due to the level bet. Lord Amir, who is 2,000 away from level 8, promised that number 446 would destroy number 911. They support Amir and demand to defeat the arrogant people from the Blue Star Dragon country and make them suffer. Some people think it is mean. The window informs about the forced annexation of village number 477 to the resource stake of village number 911. You must be the first to reach level 8 to win. At this moment, Ching knocks down the stone monsters, each of which is worth 800 points. The system congratulates him on reaching level 8 and winning the bet. Frank had only one monster left to kill when the arrogant jerks challenged him. The villagers were simply shocked, because the system's messages about the start of the resource bid and their victory simply followed one after another. Many of Village 911 gain hope for survival with this victory, and everyone unequivocally praises Lord Frank Chin. Village 446 is puzzled. How could they lose to the people from the Dragon Country when the bet has just started? But now many villagers will fail the test. Lord Amir Khan asks for help from his allies, who also dislike the people from the Dragon Country. They say that they won the bet by using dirty tricks. The levitating people turn to their priestess. Could a Dragon Country resident who is leveling up so quickly have an S-class talent? The priestess believes that S-rank talent is their divine gift, and the people of the small Dragon Country could hardly receive the patronage of a god. The baby on the neck of the sullen northerner laughs, saying that old Amir can only wriggle, and now he's lost to a resident of the Dragon Country. A sullen fisherman drags his catch. He has met a few people from this country. They are truly invincible. He would like to see more of them. Burly James takes down 3-headed bears. They were given a betting token that can be used on rookie village number 911. James asks to assign the ninja Miyamoto Rami from village number 5, who has Class A spatial talent, to find out what kind of abilities Chin has. Residents of number 911 are wondering why Frank is silent in the chat, and the guy is currently suffering from unbearable heat. He tries to construct a minimal canopy for shade with improvised means and hopes to quickly obtain a talent of ice or water. Otherwise, he will not be able to withstand the heat. The guy gets a C-class token, which gives a C-rank mission, not limited in time, but with a reward of a chest of dark gold. King remembers that for first place in the newbie trial, a gold chest is given, But for this mission, the chest is higher, which means it is difficult, but it can be activated. For using the mission token, you get 1 prestige point. You need to open the seal of the 5 elements, collect the 5 foundations of the kings of sand, fire, water, earth, and gold. Then on the dragon slope, you need to find the altar of the 5 elements and open the seal of village number 911 there. When the seal is released, village 911 will emerge into the wider world. Upon completion of the mission, all newcomer villages in the region will be able to enter the open world. That is, there is a mission to open the map, and the village that completes the mission first will receive more resources and advantages. It is suggested to start with the Sand King base, which is owned by a ferocious mammoth living in the abandoned meadow. Mammoth is the weakest. It can be killed by a team of 20 level 10 people with a 70% chance of successful killing. Chin will have to wait for such a team for about 5 days. Frank is now in the burial desert, which is right next to the abandoned meadow, so you can take a look at the situation there. Yuna hides behind a rock, trembling with fear and trying to calm herself down. A menacing mammoth with an axe wanders nearby, looking for human flesh. The mammoth discovers its prey and loudly trumpets it. A level 12, 15-star berserker mammoth swings his cleaver at Yana, who covers herself with her bare hands in horror. But the victim is snatched right from under the trunk and carried away. Frank is interested in what the girl is doing alone in the level 10 beast zone. Yana asks why the guy is here, and instead of answering, he asks where Yana's group is. The girl explains haltingly that they were all caught, killed, and eaten. There was blood everywhere. She is clearly not yet accustomed to the strict rules here. Yana asks Frank to save Julius and the others who are captured by a group of mammoths, otherwise they will be eaten today. Frank will decide about the rescue when he assesses the situation, but Yana has to leave here, but she wants to help. King tries to convince the girl that her level is too low and she simply won't be able to help. He will find the mammoths himself. Yana screams in despair that she is ready to be bait for mammoths who love human flesh. The guy finds out that she is scared, but she is willing to take risks. Ching is not obligated to save her group just because he is strong. Jana asks to be allowed to offer all her powers. Frank thinks that perhaps she is not as useless as she seems. The drums are beating. Snake women writhe and dance. Julius and 2 of his team members are tied to a pole and forced to watch what happens. The mammoths around the clearing admire the specific dance of the snake women. A rather large fire is already blazing nearby. The mammoths are upset that only 6 people have been caught, which is not enough for everyone. However, their comrade who chased the escaped man is missing for a long time. Eating a person without the king's permission is punishable by law, so no one would dare to eat someone who had escaped. But the king promised to give an extra human leg when dividing the food to those who brought back the escaped man. Yana was only supposed to perform the task of bait, but nevertheless she was awarded 60 experience. The girl is very happy. 2 E-class stamina-boosting talents are extracted from mammoths, which evolve into the D-class talent Frenetic Stamina. Frank gives Yana a ring of protection that fell from a mammoth, which will create a protective barrier if she is attacked. She looks at him with eyes like saucers because she only heard the word ring. King asks not to misinterpret his actions. Yana will be bait according to the worked-out scenario. It's just that her death will add trouble to the guy. The girl runs after Frank with the thought that the guy hasn't changed at all. Cruel on the outside, but soft-hearted on the inside. On the first mammoth he encounters, Ching tries the poison gland of the 10-ring snake. The bleeding effect works on level 12 ferocious mammoths. On the second mammoth encountered, hellfire is tested, which easily breaks through their defense and kills the monsters. Yana discovers that the back of the neck is the weak point of mammoths. If they cannot move freely, then even with level 4 she can easily kill a mammoth. 5 angry mammoths run towards the pathetic little people, waving weapons and threatening them wildly. Frank eagerly awaits the arrival of new objects for exploration. 4 mammoths run into a trap prepared for them. The guy expected that the mammoths might notice the absence of their comrades and go looking, so he set a trap for them. For 4 ferocious mammoths, Ching receives 610 experience points. The 5th one is clearly not simple. It easily cuts through the spikes of the sand centipede, which are not inferior to a level 2 weapon. Eye of True Sight identifies a mutated guardian level 12 with 21 stars and a 12% drop rate. Skill not shown? The guy immediately feels that the guard is twice as strong as ordinary mammoths. The monster screams that his body is blessed by the king, so all his wounds are healing. He is confident in his own invincibility. Frank is impressed by the practical regeneration skill. Now he is interested in the limits of this skill. With the tenacity of an avid researcher, the guy never stops attacking and analyzing. The guard's attack power and speed begin to decrease after Ching has dealt 75 blows. There were 60 hits, 5 of which were fatal. 15 blows seriously wounded, 30 caused a normal wound, and 10 a superficial one. Superficial wounds heal almost instantly, so there is no point in hitting like that. Fatal wounds originally healed in 5 seconds. Now it takes 15. Ching teases that the king's blessing has disappeared and empowers the sword with hellfire. With one blow, he cuts off the head of a level 12 guard mammoth, for which he receives 1,700 experience points, and 3 prestige points for being the first to kill him. The close mammoth senses the king's agitation. The king reports that his faithful guard has been killed. The mammoth drops a pair of dragon elephant bracelets with earth resistance plus 10%, stamina plus 5, and defense plus 20. Yana sees that Frank's mood is suddenly getting worse, but she can't imagine what the reason is after such a victory. The guy tried unsuccessfully to extract the regeneration skill 5 times. Ching seriously ponders the reason for such a crushing failure. And a brilliant thought comes to him. If it is impossible to extract regeneration from a minion, then it must be extracted from his king. Near the clearing, they look around. Yana is worried that there are more than 30 mammoths there. Even Frank could suffer with such a quantitative ratio. The girl suggests quickly saving Julius and the others, and then returning through the portal to the village, where the mammoths cannot get. The guy suggests taking a look at the fire pit around which the mammoths have gathered. On the other side, just a couple of monsters guard the prisoners tied to the pole. It all looks very tempting. You can suddenly attack the 2 guards from the forest, save the people, and escape. But such simplicity looks too much like a trap. Frank is certain that the group of mammoths was sent because the herd noticed that 8 of their fellow tribesmen were missing. The king clearly suspected something. Julia was deliberately left with a couple of guards and pretended to be busy with their own affairs. The guy explains that the mammoths set up a typical trap. The girl doesn't believe it, because we're talking about wild animals. King assures that the beasts are smarter the higher their level. You can't underestimate them, otherwise you won't be able to survive. Frank tells Yana to sit here and not come closer. She is horrified that the guy is going straight into a trap. Ching notices that the mammoths tried especially for him. It would be a pity to ignore that. In front of Yana's astonished eyes, Frank openly emerges from behind the rock. The guy heads straight for the fire. The supposedly dancing mammoths finally got their coveted prey. But in their big-headed heads, the thoughts swarm. Will the king really just kill this man? Who really did show up? He looks delicious, even if he is stupid. Frank goes straight to the king. And the mammoths around are perplexed. How could such a weakling kill a guard, unless by some kind of meanness? Ching feels like people are talking about him behind his back, and mammoths sense an unusually strong human aura. The king notices that a human has finally arrived. Ching welcomes the stunning and cruel king of the level 12 ferocious mammoths. The combat power of 25 stars is 6 higher than Shin. The eye shows the characteristics of territorial defense, guard, bloodthirstiness, and cruelty. Anger is 100%. The king's talents are land management and impressive physique class D, but the skills are hidden. The king claims that the man killed 14 of his subjects, including a guard. That's why the king lured him here on purpose. The mammoth believes that man is more useful than the killed worthless ones. Therefore, he offers to join him. The king will forget about the man's crime. Frank can't believe his ears. The leader promises to grant the title of guard, women, food, medicine, and animals, making him the happiest of people. Before answering, Ching wants to ask the king a question. Frank has heard that in another world, everyone as strong as the wind can fly, move mountains, and destroy the world with a wave of their hand. He wants to know if this is true. The king has not heard of another world and asks his priest about it. The priest also didn't hear, but he thinks that the man is spreading rumors. The snake woman giggles, saying that only heaven could do such a thing. The king declares that the world consists of this meadow. Frank is disappointed that the king is stuck in his tiny world, knows nothing about the other world, and is unable to recognize the eye of true sight. King draws his sword, saying that agreeing to serve the mammoths means renouncing humanity. He refuses to be a traitor unless the king can defeat him. Ninja Miyamoto has a call on his screen. This is Amir Khan calling from village number 446. Khan is concerned about the excessively fast leveling of a newbie with a C-class talent, a resident of the Dragon Country. Amir is sure that if a resident of the Dragon Country rises in the rankings, then the residents of the R Country will have difficulties. This is the fifth call Miyamoto has received regarding this newcomer. The system reports that Village Number 5 has started a resource bid, which has forcibly annexed Village Number 911. One person must win the battle between the top-ranking numbers of both villages. The Mammoth King attacks the guy. The Mammoth's defense is incredibly strong. Frank is upset by this because if he can't hurt the beast, he won't know if it has the ability to regenerate. The Mammoth is an excellent wielder of his two-handed weapon. The king slams the guy into the stone. The blow was quite noticeable for the guy. The king graciously gives the man one last chance to change his mind. Frank offers his own version of joining the Mammoths. The king will leave the tribe and Ching will become its new king. The Mammoth explodes with rage. He tells you to prepare for death and activates earth control. Frank begins to be sucked into quicksand. The talent of the Mammoth King is quite annoying. In addition, the beast turns on telekinesis and the sand hardens, holding Chin's hands as if in a vice. Frank breaks free and fires arrows at the beast. There is not a scratch on the Mammoth. The guy activates Hellfire. The king gives no sign at all that he feels the attack. However, the system states that damage to the target has been dealt. Now Frank can't figure out if the king's regeneration rate is lower than the guard's, or if the Hellfire is affecting him. The king attacks again. Chin has to hold a huge boulder on his shoulders to avoid being crushed to a pulp. It was the king who used telekinesis, the hardening of sand. The system warns that there is very little stamina left. The Mammoth even admires the man and his perseverance. The guy realizes that stamina consumption has increased due to the Hellfire, and the king is furious and uses telekinesis again, intending to cause the man terrible pain. Yana is in a panic and doesn't know what to do or how to help Frank. At first, the girl goes into hysterics, saying that it's all because of her, that she only brings misfortune, but she pulls herself together and calms down. Yana remembers Chin's words that during the battle, the characteristics drop. To recover, you need to rest and eat, but spiritual plants will help right away. The girl writes in the chat that Chin urgently needs spiritual fruits and plants, so she asks everyone to help. Some people don't trust him and ask Frank to write something himself, but Yana assures that she wouldn't dare to deceive him in such a matter, and help is needed urgently. Everyone agrees that without Ching, the bet cannot be won, and no one wants to lose to the Japanese pirates. The system notifies that many residents are giving Frank spiritual fruits and plants. Mammoth is outraged by what is happening. Ching accepts and immediately uses the gifts. To the furious roar of the king, like, what's going on here? The man's strength and endurance are restored right before our eyes. The Mammoth demands an explanation. Instead of answering, the guy activates Hellfire and strikes. The system reports that the Hellfire has damaged the target again. Then Ching applies it with his hand. A hole is simply punched through the king. The system reports that the Earth Element King's core has been obtained. 4,000 experience points have been awarded for successfully killing the king. Ching is at level 9. Village 911 wins the resource bet, and the orphaned mammoths rush in droves to avenge their fallen ruler. The knockdown guy screams that the mammoths can't even count on overpowering him with a crowd. He distributes his stat points. Khan is level 9, 1,290,000s. Judge class level 20200s. Reputation 29. Strength 223 plus 7 and frantic strength class D. Agility 241 plus 15 and increase agility D. Strength is rated at 23 stars. Innate talent regeneration level 1 and elementary telekinesis class D have been added. Frank continues to excitedly extinguish the mammoths, which he invites to come closer. The shaman sends a couple of guards to hide behind the brothers, so that they can attack as soon as they are killed. The self-satisfied shaman is confident that a man alone cannot cope with such a number of fierce warriors. King activates Hellfire, sending a guard to his king. 1,700 EXP is awarded, a bronze treasure chest drops. The guy understands that the machinations of the mammoth shaman are desperately preventing the rapid extermination of the herd, and Ching decides to remove this elephant-headed obstacle. The shaman sees a man approaching, but he blocks the blow, putting his fellow tribesman guard under the sword, which immediately makes Frank think about the ability to control animals. The shaman orders the ferocious mammoths to attack the man, and he himself is trying to reel in his fishing rods. threatening to return with an army of mammoths. Frank is extremely outraged by the brazen escape. Having killed all the guards, the guy decides to get rid of the remaining mammoths wholesale. Ching activates the hellfire and directs it at the crowd of beasts. Then he happily looks through the system messages about killing fierce level 12 mammoths and awarding 610 points for each. Yana, as well as Yuli and the members of his group, are simply speechless when they see such an unimaginable picture. The same thought comes to their minds. Frank is a demon. Julius and his comrades sincerely thank the guy for saving them, and as a token of gratitude, offer to accept all the spiritual plants they have. Frank looks at the offering and notices that all the fruits are low level, which immediately upsets the rescued. But he still reaches out to take one, who suddenly crows. Julius asks for forgiveness, saying that the useless thing fell into their hands by accident, but he forgot to throw it away. The Eye of True Sight identifies the item as a level 0 squealing chicken with 0 strength, but with the peculiarity of making an incredible noise like 100 chickens. Frank accepts the gift and asks the rescued team to quickly leave the dangerous zone of level 10 beasts. Yana understands that the guy has decided to become stronger than everyone else, and she, along with the rest of the ordinary hundreds of thousands of people, will watch his growth. Meanwhile, Frank faces a difficult dilemma: what to do with the snake women. TE assure that they are just dancers and do no harm. The Eye sees a seductive level 10 Naga with 0 stars and E-class talents of enchanting dance and flexible waist, feeding on spiritual fruits. Frank sees earth chestnuts on the snakes, but they don't know where the plant came from. The guy just lets go of a couple of Nagas. Because he doesn't see any situations in which his talents for enchanting dancing or flexible waist could be useful, Frank decides to continue on with the mission and examine the rewards along the way. In the chat, the residents of his village are outraged by the insolence of the losing village, which is spreading gossip and slander about Chin. It is clear to the guy that he needs to personally prove to the losers that winning the bet with Ching is unattainable for them. Frank activates his token. Each village has only one resource bet token. There are 100 tokens that can be activated in a region. This is the 79th token. Vampire Edward, Amir Khan, and Miyamoto took a risk by activating their tokens and lost. Frank considers the activation of his token a great opportunity. The system offers a choice of betting method: team or single. We have already played with a single bet. In the team bet, you need to form 2 camps, yours and the enemy's, together with other villages. The prize and punishment are greater here. The guy feels obliged to teach all his opponents an unforgettable lesson at once, so he makes a team bet. The window reports that Ching from village number 911 has made a bid, using a command bid for the first time. The loser's resources will be cut by 70%, 50 characteristics. The winner's camp has double resources and everyone gets plus 50 stat points. You must kill 1,000 points worth of wild animals alone to win. Team kills don't count. A level 5 beast is worth 1 point, a level 6 beast is worth 2 points, a level 7 beast is worth 3 points, and so on. The people of Village 911 rejoice that Ching will not allow anyone to insult the people of the Dragon Country. There is one level 1 among them who will not survive the loss, but everyone is confident that Frank has a plan. The system shows that there are 3 villages in the red camp: 911, 34, and 77, and there are already 24 villages in the blue camp. Miyamoto reports that their village has 6 level 2, 4 level 4, and 12 level 5 people, and with the decrease in resources, their strength has decreased. Ninja is confident that this time victory is theirs, because their alliance has 24 villages, while Chin has only 3. Miyamoto intends to make 911 village pay for what they did in the last bet. The ninja declares that he will pay with his life if he loses. The window informs about the start of the bet in 10 minutes and turns on the countdown. Ching sorts out the rewards. The mammoth bracelet gives plus 30 strength. Mammoth handcuff. Sand resistance plus 100%. Endurance plus 5. Defense plus 20. Ring of enormous power gives plus 25 strength and also sand resistance 100%. Mammoth king armor with plus 10 stamina, plus 110 defense. Mammoth belt with plus 70 defense, plus 5 stamina. Dark shadow boots with plus 20 agility. The silver chest gives a rank 4 item, spiritual fire liquid. Ching drinks it immediately. As a result, fire resistance plus 100%. Flame control becomes C rank and evolves into true flame. The new equipment has significantly increased the guy's combat strength. He is level 9, 23,870 out of 100,000. Strength 262 plus 58, and combat's strength 28 stars. Frank thinks it's time to take on the next Beast King on the mission. The system recommends heading to the Ant Mountain to the west. There, kill the gold-eating, level 13, fierce Ant Queen, and get the King's Core, gold, from her. It's better to gather 4 teams of at least 10 people of level 10. Frank wonders if the Queen Ant is really twice as strong as the King Mammoth. The guy decides to prepare and create poison, the greatest equalizer in human history. A weak girl can easily kill a strong man with poison. One can kill many people. Any weapon that kills enemies is useful. Ricin is a very strong plant-based poison, 6,000 times more toxic than arsenic. In 1978, a famous spy used ricin. He applied the poison to the tip of an umbrella and used it discreetly in a crowd. The hemp seeds in the Naga's hair gave the guy an idea. King uses the hemp extract endlessly, each time receiving an element of poison until he accumulates enough to kill about 300 animals. Frank then decides to mix ricin with the venom of the 10-coiled snake. The result is an unknown poisonous object. Now we need to find a ferocious beast to test the results of the experiment. Then, as if on cue, a ferocious level 10 beast appears. Frank begins experimental poisoning. With one drop, the animal instantly falls down dead. The guy rejoices at his own genius. He decides to make more of these poisonous items and then head west to the Ant Mountain. On the way, the guy comes across iron ore, which can be used for construction in the Newcomer village. Ching decides to take the ore with him. Frank feels like he is being watched from the mountains. His senses do not fail him. He is noticed by an ant dragging a piece of ore. Whole rivers of ants are concentrated on dragging pieces of ore. The eye says that this is a metal-eating worker ant, level 12, with 16 stars. The ant eats iron and other metals. Moreover, the peculiarity of ants is fearlessness and absolute protection. Their talent is strength increase of E-class and sense of gold, with a chance of obtaining 1.2%. Frank experimentally selects the best way to exterminate the ubiquitous ants. For each killed, 620 experience points are awarded. The guy's fighting strength has certainly increased after extracting his abilities, but it also requires much more energy than before. Worker ants are not particularly intelligent, but they compensate for their stupidity with an ineradicable will to live. Until the brain is penetrated directly, the ant continues to attack, even if it has already lost half its body. Frank gets tired of exterminating each ant individually and decides to simplify the task with poison. Giant ants are swarming around, moving in large groups. The guy can't physically handle so many of them, so he decides to gather the ants together, using the head of their murdered fellow tribesmen. First, the worker ants examine what has flown to them. Then they squeal indignantly, after which the whole crowd rushes to storm the heights occupied by the man, and Frank sprays them with his own freshly prepared poison. As expected, the idea is effective. The system displays messages about the killing of worker ants. Frank is pleased that the ants give good experience, which brings the potential win closer. Here on the battlefield appears a mutated ant commander of level 13 with 23 stars, with the feature of madness, absolute defense, and a chance of obtaining 13%. Ching knows that the poison will be useless unless it gets into the ant's eyes, so he uses it right away. But on the orders of the commander, the surviving ants begin to scatter. At such close range, Frank simply cannot miss. However, suddenly he gets a response. The guy is just in shock. But something like this was to be expected from high-level, ferocious beasts. The commander not only coordinated the ants' defense, but also ordered the workers to close their eyes so that the poison would not get into them. In addition, workers from all directions throw stones at the person to distract him from the attacks. The guy sees that it is time to move to close combat, since the effectiveness at long range has disappeared. Frank realized that the ants that continued to climb the rock were simply performing a diversionary maneuver, while some of the workers surrounded him. But with the armor and belt of the Mammoth King, against the background of the regeneration skill, the worker ants are no match for Ching, who monotonously exterminates them. System messages about accrual of 620 experience points continue to pop up with enviable consistency, but the influx of ants does not decrease. The guy thinks the workers want him to be buried under a mountain of their corpses. Frank activates Hellfire to wipe out the insects wholesale. But the most important thing at the moment is to destroy the commander ant, which was not harmed in the previous attack. The guy hits with Hellfire again. This time the goal is achieved. 2,000 experience points and 3 prestige points are given for the commander. At the entrance to the nest, Ching wonders why the queen does not show up. Frank currently has 800 personal points, while village number 911 has only 867 points. Together with the points of villages number 34 and number 77, they will soon reach 1,000 for victory. The guy doesn't encounter much resistance in the nest. The ground inside the nest is soft. The air is humid and smells like chocolate. Frank had read somewhere that this is what the ant's alarm pheromone smells like. The guy sees that the queen was preparing for the meeting, but she did not interrupt the constant process of increasing the population of her colony. She continues to lay ant eggs, which are immediately passed down the chain and all piled up in a pile nearby. King is not surprised that the ant queen is ranked 4th among the 5 beast kings with her colossal reproductive ability. The eye sees that she is level 13 and has 30 stars, with special abilities such as metal bending and Class D telekinesis, as well as a 100% chance of obtaining. While the guy is looking at the queen, a zealous ant tries to get closer to him. Even high-level beasts are not inclined to waste time thinking. Fortunately, the guy managed to react in time. Here he feels unusual waves. They come from the queen ant, in front of which stands a wall of subjects ready to defend their ruler. The queen is not as stupid as she seems. She used the mineral deposit to coat all of her ants with true black metal armor. Frank appreciates the cunning of the queen's move using refined iron. The mistress sends her armored subjects into battle, but the guy killed more than 100 worker ants outside. Although the ants are large enough to bite mammoths to death, they cannot withstand the power of Chin. The guy looks at insects only as an experience to level up. Frank uses his craft poison. The queen watches the death of her subjects. She thinks it's simply impossible. But the guy, having cleared the annoying workers out of the way, is ready to begin the next stage of his mission. The queen also feels his determination, which releases a portion of formic acid. Frank fails to dodge and decides to take the hit. The caustic acid merely corrodes the boy's defenses, who realizes that the queen has already played her trump card. The mistress repeats the acid trick again, and Ching activates the hellfire. The queen is desperate for success. 2 forces collide spectacularly. The queen even begins to smile, not realizing the inevitable. The terms of the mission to the queen require the death of the queen. The task is completed. Killing the gold-eating ant queen rewarded 6,000 experience points and 4 prestige points, and received a king's gold core and a silver chest. Frank is very pleased that he was able to quickly obtain 2 cores. The assistant informs Ninja Miyamoto that 62 points have been collected, and the Blue Alliance has approximately 600 points in total. Miyamoto and the villagers laugh in anticipation of the Dragon Country's loss, but the system reports that the Red Alliance has reached 1,000 points. Village number 5 loses. Each villager's stats are reduced by 50 points. Resources are reduced by 70%. If the sum of stats is less than 10, the person will become crippled. If the stat points go into minus, the dweller dies. There are a lot of death messages around Miyamoto. Even his assistant becomes crippled and cannot move. People are in a panic. They don't want to die and don't know what to do. Everyone is calling on the ninjas for help, but Miyamoto can't come to terms with the fact of another loss. Frank threatens to kill the baby ants for experience if they irritate him, and if they want to avenge the queen, let them become stronger. The kids talk about something and then crawl away into a dark tunnel. The system asks you to wait while the reward is calculated. Frank was so absorbed in exterminating the ant colony that he didn't notice the message about winning the bet. For 30 reputation points, the title King of Newbies was received. Intelligence, endurance, agility, and strength plus 20. Double reward for the bet plus 100 attribute points. If the various attribute points are more than 800, plus 160 bonus points are given. 6 silver chests and 1 gold chest are given for reaching level 10 first. A new mission, Future Village Chief, opens from level 10, which is already 155,400 out of 230,000. A golden chest and a village chief scroll are promised as a reward. King activates the mission. We must find a lost village in the Grave Desert, uncover its secret, and kill the devil. The development of a village begins with the appearance of its leader, and without a leader, the village disbands. The inhabitants become refugees and do not have the protection of a newcomer's home. The village leader encourages the villagers to build a city, then a kingdom, then an empire, and then a divine abode. Frank is glad that he already has the dark seal to enter the lost village. All that remains is to wait for nightfall to begin the mission. Before heading to the grave desert, Ching decides to prepare by using all the stat points he has earned. Now the guy's combat rating is 47 stars. He has the talents of metal and darkness control of Class D, Terrakinesis of Class D, fire control of Class C. There is an improvement in touch and smell of Class F, an improvement in vision and hearing of Class E, and an increase in intelligence of Class D. Using the ability to control metal given to him by the Queen Ant, Frank can create armor on his body from the iron ore around him. In addition, metal control combined with telekinesis and darkness increases the destructive power of piercing penetration. Frank is very pleased with the result, and his spiritual energy consumption has also been reduced by half. He also has the talent of releasing energy. This talent allows you to use the internal energy of the body to attack, and also apply it to weapons, increasing damage dealt. You have to be careful when using Hellfire, as it takes a lot of spiritual energy. Frank moves on to the most enjoyable process, opening chests. But as soon as he extends his hand, a direct call signal sounds. The guy isn't really in the mood for conversation right now. The system reports that Julius has requested a private conversation. Frank doesn't know what the second most powerful person in the village of 911 could possibly want. Yuli received a chest fusion card, which he would like to give in exchange for the Bloodwolf sword. A Tier 2 fusion card is used to create one higher tier chest from 5 low tier chests, including dark gold chests and below. Kino remembers that a silver chest gives a 2% chance of a level 4 item, while a gold chest gives 98%, with the remaining 2% being a chance of a level 5 item. The guy believes that the others simply can't get enough chests, so the map is useless to them. Julius even thanks Frank for the exchange. The guy opens his first gold chest. There are Boots of the Wind God level 4 with agility plus 100, water and fire resistance plus 100%, speed plus 100%, defense plus 50, and agility plus 100. The second golden chest contains a level 4 shadow illusion necklace with plus 100 energy. The necklace allows you to summon a shadow clone using spiritual energy. A clone with half the master's fighting strength will fight in his stead if the master has the Sixth Senses talent. The guy has 8 silver chests. He puts up an advert for exchanging the King of Bears Tier 2 combat armor for a chest unification card, and the second ad about exchanging level 2 dark shadow boots also for a chest unification card. The chat is buzzing. Only level 10 can post 2 ads. Frank eagerly awaits the coming of night. He mentally informs the dogheads that he is already on his way to them. The Wind God's boots allow him to reach the place in just an hour, whereas previously it would have taken Chin 3 hours to reach the desert. On the way, the guy destroys all the monsters he encounters in the area to gain experience. Thus, 217,000 divided by 23,000 experience is gained, and the extraction limit for level 10 beasts is reached. But it is still possible to extract from levels 8 and 9. Arriving at the place, the guy habitually begins to fall into a mysterious place. The second time, the landing is much more successful. Just then, a portal appears, from which a clawed dog's paw protrudes. The dogheads emerge from the portal straight to their doom. The leader does not understand how Frank became so strong. King notes that a person can change a lot in 3 days. The guy came alone, and now the dogheads are no longer a problem for him. The evil creations of the level 10 Hell Soldiers with a strength of 20 stars no longer pose a threat to Frank at this point. King remembers that the leader boasted about his immortality, but the boy did not know about his weak spot at that time. After all, it's unlikely that you can resurrect if your head is blown to pieces. For killing a hellish soldier, you get 15 justice points and 1,000 experience. Another fragment of the Seal of Darkness falls out. Now you need to collect 7 dark crystals, remove the seal of the demonic altar, free and kill the demon. Killing the demon will cleanse the village. The first 10 people from the Blue Star world who complete the mission will be given a gold chest and 200 attribute points. Also, the first 10 people to complete the mission will have their stat points doubled. Ching is the 7th to activate the mission. Frank realizes that there are plenty of lurking rankers in the Blue Star world, so he must hurry to get into the top 10. The mission difficulty has been specially increased for village number 911 as it has won the bets many times. A fat man in flip-flops immediately attacks the guy. He declares that the level 10 rookie king will die before him, just like everyone else. But the hellfire interrupts the fat man's smug speech, cutting off his head from his shoulders. Killing a follower of the sealed demon of level 13 gives 7,000. Ching is sure that the level is not important if there is no power. He is also awarded 100 justice points. Window congratulates on level 11. Suddenly, someone from behind calls the fat man a piece of trash. The eye sees a level 14 demon follower with 50 stars of power. The eye also reveals that he was once the rookie king, but was killed by an evil demon and then resurrected with dark energy. King thinks that, if he dies here, he will also probably turn into another follower of the demon. The follower states that the fat man is the weakest of the whole company. The guy finds it cruel to speak about his fallen comrade in such a way. Frank offers to go immediately and apologize to him in person. The spearman objects that the guy is just a level 11 newbie. But Ching holds his own as a very worthy opponent. And Frank's punch is not weak at all. The guy doesn't understand at all what his level has to do with it. The follower smirks as if to say that he forgot to say that he shouldn't have been touched. He is able to freeze everything he touches, and now the guy will not be able to move. Frank finds himself trapped inside a block of ice. But the follower rejoiced prematurely. For his murder, they give 800 experience points and 120 justice points. Frank also forgot to say that you shouldn't get close to him so as not to become leveling material. The guy notices that the dark fog around him is starting to thicken. The roar of a demon is heard. And then, from different directions, 4 more of his level 15 followers with 54 stars each appear, all of whom were previously rookie kings who were killed by the demon. Frank needs to collect 7 dark crystals according to the mission conditions. But so far, he only sees 6 followers, so there will be a 7th one. Suddenly, a girl's laughter is heard behind him. The guy did not feel the approach of the 7th sequence at all. The 7th one looks like an innocent and sweet little giggling girl. When Frank looks at it, he starts to feel dizzy and is unable to move. The guy can't figure out where he is, but he sees the demon's followers giggling. He seems to find himself in an incomprehensible place with flowers and butterflies. The demon's 7th follower is also located here. Frank watches as the giggling little girl flutters over the lovely flowers like a butterfly. The other followers watch the scene from the side, chuckling maliciously. They decide that the guy has a weak mind, even though he has already killed 2 followers. The girl invitingly extends her hand to Frank and asks him to come even closer to her. The 4 followers think this is the best moment to attack, and they all attack Ching at once. They are almost half a step away from victory. Almost. The first of the 4 could not understand how he met his death. Frank just cuts him in half. The same fate befalls the 2nd follower, who doubted the guy's sanity. Ching agrees with his follower's opinion that the ideal moment to attack is indeed when the enemy is distracted by something. The surviving trio of followers are simply in shock. The giggler literally falls to pieces with anger because the man deceived them and her illusion did not work on him. She commands to attack together. Frank doesn't mind this arrangement. The boy in the hood is crushed. Next up is a guy in a t-shirt with a brush mustache, which Ching imprints into stone. The malicious laugher remains, which Frank cuts into 2 parts. But before him was only an illusion, although the guy felt how the flesh was being cut. It simply crumbled into scarlet petals. Frank thinks that a woman is hiding among these unusual petals, which spin in such a way that they block the guy's entire view. King bursts out of the vortex of petals, but the petals don't let go. He finds himself in a dense cocoon, unable to move his arms or legs. And the giggler boasts that she has control not only over illusions, but also over the magic of the earth. She finds the guy interesting, since he, being at level 11, is able to kill a level 15 spirit without much effort. Surely the man has many secrets. But she doesn't think that the man will share them with her, so it's easier to kill him, and the Spirit King will be able to read his memories. However, the giggling girl intends to first take revenge for the fact that the guy dared to deceive her. She will teach the person an object lesson. King admits that he is facing a strong opponent, but he is unable to move. The only way to attack is to remove the crystal armor. Frank deactivates the crystal armor, and a space appears between his body and the ivy, which is enough to free your hand and activate the hellfire. Frank attacks. The battered follower complains that she was hurt. She wonders where Ching got so many skills from, because there can't be more than 3 talents, which means she's dealing with a cheater. The follower believes that this is disgusting and that God should have gotten rid of such a person long ago. Frank declares that the follower does not dare to say such a thing and finishes her off with hellfire. For killing a level 16 spirit, 140 justice points and 10,000 experience were awarded. The seventh crystal for the mission is in his hands. The guy literally feels the activity of the spirits, which is influenced by the proximity of the altar. He remembers that he needs to place the crystals in special recesses to free the demon. Once all 7 crystals are in place, the seal's power begins to weaken. The system reports that the 11th level rookie with 56 stars, 3rd level Judge Ching, has successfully completed the release of the demon. Frank had never encountered creatures like the demon that appeared before. The monster is frighteningly huge. The Eye of Truth identifies a demon of hatred at Emperor rank level 17, with a combat power of 71 stars with unknown abilities and talents. The creature screams in rage that the man killed 7 of his followers, ruining what he had worked on for 100 years. After one blow from the demonically powerful paw, Ching's hand is almost numb. The demon holds him down and raises his paw for the next blow. A smug face with a creepy grin approaches. The demon hits with all his might, but he sees nothing under his paw. He thought that the man was stronger since he was able to get rid of his 7 minions. There is a movement felt under his paw. Frank apologizes for disappointing the demon. In fact, the rods that appeared before the impact helped him survive. They took half the damage. The demon tries to crush the surviving man with its paw, but he manages to roll away. The monster is surprised that the man not only survived, but was also able to move quickly after his blows. Frank attacks, but the windseal blade, as well as the rods, cannot penetrate the demon's powerful defense. Even hellfire is completely ineffective. Ching tries to release energy, but the demon simply smirks and repels the attack. The monster chuckles that the cunning little people always have a lot of strange tricks. The guy had already tried everything, but had not caused the slightest harm to the monster. But Frank is not going to accept the failure of the mission. He understands that he is fighting just another boss who must have a weak spot. It attacks by striking at the movable joints of the bones. The demon screams that he will tear the little man into small pieces, and in turn attacks. The guy is not having an easy time. The demon broke all his bones with one blow, but he extracted the B-class healing skill from the giggling girl, which triggered the C-class regeneration. That's why the guy's injuries heal in literally seconds. King understands that with such a skill, he can simply wear out the demon. The monster roars that the man is still alive. Frank replies that only the demon will die. The system reports that rookie number 74 from district number 9321 has killed the demon of hatred and has risen to first place in the Blue Dragon Star. The guy realizes that one of the 10 has already completed the mission, so he should hurry. He attacks. The demon roars like mad. Frank decides to summon a ghost clone. Summoning requires the 6 senses skill, even though the clone only has half the master's power. Kin was lucky enough to find a spiritual fruit that enhanced his sense of taste, and finally all 6 of his senses were awakened. The guy can now use clone summoning and animal taming. The system reports that rookie number 877 from district number 1229 has killed a demon and has risen to second place in the Blue Star. And the demon can't understand why the man is so strong. He had been watching the man since he entered the village. His stats and fortitude were high, but not outstanding. The man was able to kill even the 7th follower, after which his body was enveloped in a strange glow. The system reports that the newcomer of village number 7 has killed a demon and taken 3rd place in the Blue Star. Frank uses his entire arsenal: poison, rods, energy release, and hellfire. The guy refuses to believe that such powerful techniques do not penetrate the demon's armor. The residents of Village 911 are watching the system messages about the progress of this mission with bated breath. The newcomer from number 622 took 4th place. People find it strange that there were no reports until noon, but once someone killed the demon first, reports started pouring in. People know that their village's quest is of increased difficulty. Some think that Ching might try again tomorrow. Julius has no doubt that the leader will cope today. Eventually, that's what happens. Frank takes 5th place in the Blue Star. Killing the demon has pretty much exhausted the guy. The system promises to increase the characteristics by 200% after creating a village. Frank gets 400 experience points and 2 gold chests, as well as a special item, the Heart of the Demon of Hatred. The window offers to find out what happened here. It turns out that the end of the rookie test is not the end. When the protective barrier of this village was destroyed, heavenly punishment fell upon it. But the creature that appears does not notice the strength of even 100 people. The head of the village was unable to protect anyone. All the inhabitants died. At the moment when the heavenly punisher pierced him with his sword, the leader blamed himself for what happened, and hatred for the creature calmly flying away tore him apart. What caught the devil's attention? Who decided that it was entirely possible to work with such all-consuming hatred? And the devil took on the fallen head of the exterminated village, in which burning hatred continued to boil. Now the full picture emerges for Frank. It is clear that after death, the head of the village became a hostage of the devil, and the dark deity turned him into a demon of hatred, and his village became this place. This means that the village of newcomers will also face one last test in the form of heavenly punishment. The system reports that village number 74 has been officially established and named Polar Star. The residents of 911 are wondering when Ching will establish the village. They decide to call Boss Chin with this question. Frank answers and greets everyone. The residents didn't even expect to get through so quickly. King suggests that they first come up with a catchy name for their village. They decide to choose the name Dragon Pool. Frank agrees. The guy activates the village creation scroll. A beam of bright light falls on Village 911. The system announces that the reward has been doubled for the difficulty of the task. Each villager receives 80 points. The villagers rejoice. The window informs that teleportation to the hut is now available. The villagers can use it once a day, the elder 3 times a day. A curious resident decides to immediately test the innovation, and instantly he is transported to his hut. Everyone is delighted because energy is restored faster in the hut. In addition, you can return to the place from which you used teleportation. Residents are planning to hold a celebration in the square. Frank activates the public video broadcast feature. Ching reports that after the newcomers test, the villages will still have to withstand the attack of a heavenly punisher with 100 stars of combat power. The Punisher's goal is to destroy the huts, after which the newcomers become homeless and 100 points are deducted from them. The residents are horrified. But if you manage to repel the Punisher, the reward will be worthy. There are 4 days left, and Ching asks everyone who can to quickly level up to level 10. Also, with village improvements, it will be possible to build a guardian altar, so it will be easier to defeat the Punisher. To do this, you need to fulfill 5 conditions. The population is over 500. The headman needs to obtain the title of Beginner Emperor, and the headman's hut must be upgraded to level 2. This is Chin's business. Then there must be at least 100 huts of level 1, and more than 10 people must reach level 10. These conditions must be met by the residents. To upgrade the hut, you will need 10 wood, 5 stone, and 1 fur. Yuli suggests splitting into groups to gather, and then simply swapping for what is needed. Everyone agrees. Frank turns off the broadcast. The guy is in an abandoned village. All the materials have already been collected. King upgrades his hut to level 1 in front of the amazed residents. The speed of recovery in the house increases by 2 times, in sleep by 3 times, plus 50 points. The residents rejoice at Frank's achievement. The system reports that 100 new villages have been created. The competition to improve them begins. In the village of Polar Night, the vampire Marquis John Brass bites the last inhabitant. The vampire Prince Dracula asks John how things are going. Brass reports that the village had 914 inhabitants, all of whom have now joined their clan. Dracula is pleased, meaning they will soon become the strongest village. He intends to enter the top 3 in the competition to improve conditions, because this time the villagers will be given 500 points and the headman 1,000 points. Once they receive this reward, they can become leaders in Blue Star, but they must reach level 3 within 5 days. Dracula is confident that there is no reason to worry. Only the villages of Light, Brahma, and the 5th Observer can compare with them. The prince is not worried about the dragon pool. Even if an outstanding participant appeared there, it will not change the situation. Dracula is confident that they have nothing to worry about. Frank is in charge of resource movement, aided by his rods. He has earned all the rewards and now has 83 stars and the title of Aspiring Emperor. If he manages to win the village improvement competition and gets another 1,000 points, then maybe he will have a chance to defeat the Punisher. The third condition of the competition, to upgrade the headman's house to level 2. But for this, the only thing missing is a level 1 ice stone. And you can only get such a stone in the Lake of Horned Turtles. Frank confirms the contribution of resources to the system. The window informs that the village chief donated 723 wood to the village and received 723 contribution points. Also 361 stone for 361 contribution points. Frank simply collected everything he could from the lost village. Ching activates an exchange channel where resources can be donated. The guy also connects the source of the heavenly path, where you can get household items and kitchen utensils. There are also primary energy stones, which can be used to obtain 100 energy without killing animals. Now residents without combat talents can live normally, and then professions will appear from miners to butchers and carpenters. The dragon pool has enough resources to feed and provide occupation for such people, who will also be able to raise their level. Frank takes a running leap into the lake, lost in thoughts of the future prosperity of the dragon pool. However, there is nothing to breathe underwater. The guy is forced to surface. Moreover, Ching is not the only one to emerge. Frank didn't stay inside the monster for long, but he did gain a new C-class talent, water spirit. Now the guy has gills, and he breathes calmly underwater to the surprise of the pond's inhabitants, which immediately becomes cramped for space. And Ching had already found and tamed a means of transportation that resembled a crocodile. It turns out the lake is huge. More than an hour has passed, but the guy hasn't found a single icy stone yet. He asks if the beast is driving him in circles on purpose, but the crocodile, shedding tears, assures them that they will soon be in the right place. The beast laments that a cruel monster broke into his house, separated him from his beloved, and chased him after icy stones. He does not know if he will return to his wife. Frank notices a turtle, and then a whole bunch of turtles and a level 15 horned turtle king with 50 stars in the C-class talent, ice control. Ching orders the beast to move away so that nothing happens to it. And he adds that if the crocodile decides to run away, he will find the animal even at the end of the earth, cut it up, and eat it. The guy decides to first get the king's core and then the ice stone. Here the horned turtles notice the man. The king screams, "How dare a level 11 human disturb his rest?" Instead of responding, Ching attacks. The king makes a powerful sound, so powerful that it even throws the guy back. All the turtles start moving. The king orders them to form up and attack. Ching saw mammoths and ants attacking in groups, but without a common tactic. Unlike those animals, the turtles seem to be working together, pooling their powers. This puzzles Frank a little. The Turtle King shoots ice arrows. King dodges them, but realizes that hellfire won't work underwater, and all other skills are much less effective. One of the arrows even pierces the guy's leg. Arrows rain down. Frank has to find shelter. The turtles are looking for him, dispersed in an organized manner. The king demands to find the man. Ching understands that since he cannot bring the turtles to shore, he must first destroy the ruler. And Frank activates the shadow clone to distract the turtles. As expected, the turtles immediately attack the clone. The guy can't use any skills without being noticed. The clone is destroyed, and the king realizes that something is wrong. But Frank had already reached him and intended to kill the cockerel. Ching attacks the king's head. A tail, a snake, immediately attacks him. Frank activates the shadow fetters, and with his bare hands he deprives the turtles of their master. The guy gets the royal water core. Killing the Turtle King brings Chin to level 12. The subjects circle warily, making no attempt to attack. Once extracted, the water and ice manipulation talent is upgraded to B class, and the ice storm talent is awakened, firing ice arrows. When the arrows are released, an icy snow tornado is formed, covering an area of 5 kilometers. A flock of turtles is wiped out following their master while testing out a new deadly talent. The vehicle is able to adapt and understands that it is no competitor to the man who killed the king of turtles with his hands. But if you serve him, the crocodile offers to take the gentleman to the icy rocks and willingly offers his back. The beast really wants to return home to his wife as soon as possible. The events happening around Frank are watched through a tablet, admiring the power of one man out of 1,000 worlds, who has 3 cores in 3 days. The girl holding the tablet finds the guy quite masculine and wouldn't mind starting a romance with him. The red-haired friend forbids even thinking about it, because in a small world, people are born weak and without innate abilities. Even if this person were to level up to the perfect rank, he would not survive the Great War of 10,000 Worlds and would not meet the blonde. But the blonde asks the destroyer of hopes to at least let her dream. The redhead doesn't like this treatment. The resources of the village of the person she is interested in have increased, meaning the task will be more difficult to complete. But the hardest part is not getting the core. It's much harder to endure the battle on the dragon slope, but the girl hopes that this man will surprise them. Frank flies on an eagle, looking at the dragon pool rankings. He's in first place with a level 12. Then there's Julius and Simon, Liam and Ted, all level 8. The guy wonders what they did there to level up so quickly. And who is Ted, who wasn't even in the top 10 before? It turns out that primary energy stones are in great demand. Frank understands that the current tops have been pumped up on stones. You can collect a lot of beginner weapons in the surrounding area. If you donate them, you get 2 contribution points for a sword. That's how you level up. Suddenly, Frank hears someone screaming behind the trees. 5 guys take the girl's things, but she has nothing valuable. She breaks free, and the guy holding her is amazed at her naivety. The girl screams that the headman Ching will find out about what happened. The offenders call Ching a hypocritical egoist who only cares about his own pumping. The girl cries in despair. Frank, standing on the eagle's back, declares that such people do not deserve to live. The world of chaos is comparable to an endless race. Most runners follow the rules and patiently move forward. But there are always those who try to deceive and harm their neighbors. Frank can only become stronger to avoid this. Therefore, the guy asks the rescued girl to notify everyone in the village to be on the alert, since such scoundrels are wandering around here. The girl waves after the flying away eagle with words of gratitude. Ching decides to find out about the village chief's powers after the village level is raised. If he could issue arrest warrants, they would be afraid to commit outrages. Even if people had dark intentions, they would be wary of realizing them on the territory of the dragon pool. The skill of controlling beasts saves time on movement, but all the beasts here are too low level. They will not become a spiritual pet. The guy wouldn't mind if a spirit beast fell out of the chest. The Eye of True Sight sees level 15 man-eating demonic plants with 24 stars. Immortal, bloodthirsty, and hallucinogenic. The guy intends to mow down this field of flowers. The sword is not as effective as a lawnmower, but Ching takes on the task with great enthusiasm. Plants are crying out for salvation and screaming that they are in pain. Frank finds the screams unbearably loud, and the flowers continue to scream deafeningly how much pain they are in. Then they click their teeth and shout that the person must be killed. They drag the guy into their dense thickets. He is surrounded on all sides by clouds of poison. Also, the moan flowers are restored, justifying the immortality characteristic. But these are just level 15 demonic plants. Frank rushes back towards the evil flowers, which continue to scream in pain. Seeing this situation, the flowers scream that the poison does not work on this strong person and that they must quickly run to the main plant. A stunned Ching sees that the flowers have literally escaped. The window reports that 820 experience points have been awarded for killing several level 15 demonic plants. Also received a level 2 resource, Aoki Core, which is needed to upgrade huts to level 3. Frank admits that flowers can be called intelligent, but they are slow. Although they regenerate after the sword, they certainly cannot cope with hellfire. By killing all the flowers, the guy will get about 100,000 experience points. His combat power is already 87 stars, and the pumping speed only encourages him even more. After destroying all the demonic plants, Frank activates the True Eye. And on the only tree, he sees hives in which there are highly toxic demonic beasts, bloodthirsty poisonous bees of level 15 with 26 stars. The bees immediately fly out towards the person. Ching understands that there are too many insects. It will be too difficult to defend. It's worth trying out new talents. Frank activates Ice Storm. Under a hail of ice arrows, the demonic bees die like flies, and the person gets points for killing them. Ching goes to level 13. The guy is very pleased with his new skill, which killed 3,000 bees in an instant. Now it's the turn of the demonic plant, the Royal Rank Dry Tree Witch, level 16, with 53 stars. The eye speaks of 100% danger in the peculiarities of immortality, aging, and control. The tree takes the form of a woman with long hair and closed eyes. The witch opens her green eyes and waves her spiky hair in all directions. The witch is glad that after many years at least someone dared to enter the forbidden zone. Otherwise, she really misses tasty human blood. And around, the already familiar hallucinogenic man-eating flowers appear. More hives appear on the thorny hair, from which a demonic beast flies out, a level 15 golden queen bee with 47 stars. This is the witch's poison guard. Frank notices that the guard arrived on time. He commands insects to follow his orders. Even bees, pierced through by ice arrows and deprived of body parts, rise into the air at the guy's command. The guardian queen attacks the guy, saying that she will kill him. The first of the bees summoned by Ching flies to her. The bees attacking the queen look more like zombies and are clearly not strong, but they stick to the body of the bewildered queen. There is an explosion. The system reports the killing of a level 15 royal rank golden bee and the receipt of golden royal jelly. It's clear that a bunch of dead, bloodthirsty bees could never harm the queen bee, so Frank used a military trick. King used his beast control skill to make the bees fight for him, and at the right moment, he activated the hellish flames in their bodies. The witch does not understand how it was possible to master the opposite skills of Ice and Tribe. The guy uses poisonous bees as kamikazes, blowing them up as soon as they reach their intended target. His idea can be called controversial since there is a high risk of injuring oneself, and not just the enemy, but the witch is impressed by the result. The guy attacks with a sword into which he directed hellfire. Prickly hair is cut with ease. The witch is simply horrified, and the guy attacks again. The witch panics as Frank's abilities negate her regeneration. She understands that if things continue like this, her song is sung, so she is forced to play her trump card. Columns of purple mist rise all around. The tentacles of this unusual fog are reaching out towards the person. Once in the fog, the guy immediately looks like a squeezed lemon. Frank doesn't understand what's going on, but he feels that something is wrong, because he is literally aging before our eyes. It is clear to Chin that the witch is simply sucking the life energy out of him, and he may soon die of old age. The guy activates regeneration, but the regeneration skill can't cope with the amount of purple vapor, and he can't fully return to normal. Kina has no shortage of determination when it comes to experiments, and tree monsters are afraid of fire. And Frank launches hellfire through his own veins to burn out the toxic fumes. The guy's blood is literally boiling. It was as if he had been put into a centrifuge. But the result of the experiment lives up to expectations. The witch is shocked by how easily the man destroyed her complex technology. Frank feels like a dragon. The witch suddenly changes tactics. She falls to her knees and begs for mercy for the poor tree, which has spent 180 years alone without harming anyone. Everyone came to her for the royal core, which she is ready to voluntarily give up now. The witch shows the core. She is sure that Ching used 3 techniques, so he used up almost all the energy. That is the perfect moment to attack. But first we must lull the enemy's vigilance in order to have time to resurrect our young, man-eating flowers. The witch presents a rank 5 fire phoenix egg as an apology. The egg is the descendant of a sacred legendary beast, patron of the South. Phoenix is incredibly strong and will be indispensable as a helper. While the witch stalls for time, Ching wonders if he looks like a fool. The cannibal flowers were making such a noise behind him that the boy couldn't even pretend he didn't hear anything. Hellfire incinerates flowers to the roots. Frank expected that a level 16 witch would have more special skills than the other kings, but he clearly overestimated her. The witch's last words before her head parted from her body were a mention of the fire demon king. Killing the withered tree witch yields 1,000 experience points, a silver chest, and 4 reputation points. Extracted the talent Synergy of the 6 Senses. Synergy evolves to Class B, which improves the Shadow Clone skill. 2 clones can be summoned at the same time. The skill of controlling beasts is also improved. Now you can increase the combat power of pets by 60%, and Ching just got himself a pet. To speed up the incubation process, the Phoenix Battle Pet egg can be fed with life force. Legends say that the descendant of the sacred beast has incredible potential and powers beyond comprehension, as stated by the Eye of True Sight. Frank knows that human combat power is up to 100 stars. From 100 stars is the earthly level of power, and from 1,000 stars is the heavenly level of power. Here the 5th rank pet is finally born. The chick is incredibly cute. Frank touches the chick with his finger, and literally sees what a handsome man he will grow up to be. Now a level 1 fire phoenix with the power of 50 stars. The eye states that the characteristics are the bloodline talent of B-class ancestral divine blood, space control, and A-class flame law. Also, the phoenix's characteristics include evolution and absolute loyalty. And if Frank's skill increases the phoenix's combat power by 60%, there will be 80 stars, which will come in handy in the upcoming battle with the Heavenly Punisher. The boy names the chick Light Ray, and using the synergy of the 6 senses, establishes a family bond with the pet. Phoenix is born from the blood and spirit of Chin. The system reports that contact with the battle pet light ray has been established. Ching feels that no one in the world is as devoted to him as the chick fluttering around him. It turns out that the synergy of the six senses also allows one to understand the language of the phoenix, eliminating the communication barrier. And at the moment, Ray is very hungry, which he keeps squeaking about. Frank wonders if the phoenix eats animal or human flesh, as it recently killed several troublemakers in the forest. Ray is still a chick, and Chin has to use another flying animal to get around. Svetly Luchik doesn't eat human flesh, but the guy has no idea what to feed his pet. Ray alternates his demands for food with a tirade that he is not a simple wild animal, but a sacred animal to whom other animals are not equal. They are approaching a huge volcano. This is Hellfire Mountain, the habitat of magma fire spirits of level 16 with a combat power of 30 stars with a danger of 16%, as the eye says. Svetly Luchik's eyes light up. It turns out that this perfume is his delicacy. Before Frank can say anything, the chick shoots towards the mountain. The speed of exterminating spirits and inflating the chick is impressive. In addition, for each spirit killed, Chin is awarded 910 experience points. Newborn phoenixes have an excellent appetite. The guy is happy that while the pet is eating and practicing killing monsters, the owner is awarded experience points. Spirit vouchers, rank 2 cards that can be exchanged for prestige points, drop periodically. Each player can use 10 cards. Frank estimates that there are about 300 magma spirits living here, which means that when Ray finishes having fun, there will be about 100 vouchers. The guy exchanges the allowed 10 perfume vouchers for 10 reputation points, which already amounts to 87. Frank places the remaining vouchers in the exchange channel so that the people in the village can improve faster. The system reports that the battle pet has reached level 2 with a combat power of 60 stars. The spirits are exterminated by the second level chick with even greater passion. Shown here is a level 16 Magma Fire Spirit King with 52 stars and 100% danger. The king apparently intends to make an attempt to stop the extermination of his subjects. Neither power nor size nor royal regalia faze the fearless Ray in the least, who attacks without thinking. The guy sees that the king of fire spirits is no match for Light Ray at all and decides to see how things are going in the dragon pool. 9 people have already reached level 10 and 95 huts have been upgraded to level 1. In the trade offers, someone wants to trade with Chin. 3 level 3 items for a level 3 machete. Bright Ray is busy overthrowing the king. The resident who offered the exchange adds that the items are level 3, but they are contaminated with corrosion, so they can actually be given level 2. We are talking about the right and left ring bracelets, plus 10 to agility, plus 30 to strength, and plus 100% resistance to darkness for each bracelet. And about a pair of nameless bracers with plus 20 to health and defense, plus 100% resistance to darkness. Frank readily agrees to the exchange. After infinite extraction, bracelets become plus 20 to dexterity, plus 60 to strength. Nameless bracers, in addition to resistance to darkness, now provide plus 50 to health, plus 60 to defense. King wonders if the lost things of the Messenger of Light might contain some information about the mission. The system reports that the conditions for raising the village level from 0 to 1 have been met. 10 level 10 newcomers and 100 level 1 huts. Frank asks Ray to hurry up. The chick activates the golden flame of the fiery heavens and rushes to the call of the owner. But the vile king does not want to leave so easily. King shouts to his pet that there is danger behind him. The owner will help his chick. Frank activates the ice storm. The royal ardor immediately fades. Frank uses the new teleportation feature to the cabin. The first thing the guy does is raise the village level. The system reports that Dragonpool Village has increased its level to 1. All residents are awarded 50 points and are granted the Blessing of Heaven. The village chief receives the Blessing of Heaven and 100 points. Residents' huts can be upgraded to level 2, for which 100 points will be awarded. In the Polar Night Village, the count emerges from the water and gives brass ice stones. All that remains is to upgrade the headman's house to level 2 and raise the village level. Dracula rejoices that his village will be the strongest. But suddenly the system reports that the first village has been upgraded to level 1. King is pleased that he can now upgrade the chieftain's hut to level 3 with 1 level 2 wood core, wood, stone, fur, and iron ore. Frank already has all the resources he needs. The guy upgrades the hut to level 3. Energy is restored 4 times faster, and in a sleep state even 5 times faster. Now the house has a kitchen. There is a great bed. And oh wonder, a wonderful bath, the charm of which is appreciated by the pet along with the owner. Only after immersing himself in warm water does Ching realize how much he missed this. But the message from the system that has turned on the countdown does not allow him to relax. There are 4 days left until the end of the newbie test. Suddenly, a strange, round flying robot appears, a representative of the support service. The robot congratulates you on the chance to double your rewards. You just need to double the difficulty of the challenge. In case of victory, the village headman will receive 2,000 points, and each villager will receive 1,000 points. The robot humanely gives you 10 minutes to make a decision. King remembers that the guardian altar can only be built in a level 2 village. However, it is unknown what resources are needed. Frank believes that such a possibility will greatly increase the chances against the Punisher. The villagers watch the timer. People rely on their elder, without whom many would have already died. Frank Ching accepts the challenge. From now on, each time you reach a new level, the rewards of the dragon pool are doubled. According to the changed conditions for a level 2 village, the village headman's house needs to be level 3, the population is more than 1,000, and the number of level 1 huts is more than 400. Smiles freeze. Also, more than 40 residents must be level 10. If these conditions are met, the dragon pool will be able to build a guardian altar. The residents are in a trance. Julius is in shock. Simon yells that there are only 937 of them, but more than 1,000 residents are needed. People are sad. Where can they find more residents? Frank reassures that he is on a mission to open the map. Once the mission is complete, you can invite people from the big world. The robot announces that after this task, you can go to the Temple of 1,000 Appearances, from where you can get to any village of newcomers through a portal and invite residents. People are buzzing that in the first district alone, people from the Dragon Country live in 17 villages. They could be given a chance for a better life, and the quota for residents could be met. Frank promises to do everything possible to save the dragon pool and as many residents of the Dragon Country as possible. But the tasks have become seriously complicated, so the work needs to be divided among everyone. Those who do not wish to submit may leave the village. The people hum in agreement. The robot announces that the headman has opened 2 new functions: control, location of any resident, voice command system at any time. It requires a lot of stone and wood, so everyone except the top 40 will mine them. The top 10 will go to Ant Mountain for iron ore. And everyone in the top 40 should get to level 10 faster. Frank has already placed 100 ice stones needed to upgrade the huts in the exchange channel. There are 2 days to get level 2. The residents agree, although there is no sign of wild jubilation. Before going to the Fire King, Ching decides to improve his equipment. At this point, he has collected a sufficient number of chests and cards. The transformation is successful, and the guy gets a chest of white gold, from which a rank 5 item drops, the Blade of Deep Night. The new sword has dark powers plus 100%, crit plus 100%, armor piercing plus 100, attack speed plus 130%, strength plus 100, attack power plus 300. Now Frank is ready to face the Fire King and activates the teleportation to return to Hellfire Mountain. In the crater, he sees a level 4 raging fire lotus flower that grew after the death of the phoenix from the interweaving of its spirit and blood. There on the next crater, a boy in shorts waves his arms at Frank. Ching asks who the boy is. The eye sees a level 18 Emperor rank person with 99 stars, magma immunity, and an immortal body. The eye warns of incredible evil. The boy notices that as soon as he pinched the fragile chick, it died. The clan members blamed him for failing to raise the phoenix and wanted to execute him. For this reason, the boy simply killed his entire clan, after which the heavens forbade him to wander, allowing him to stay here. The boy is named the Fire King. He finds the man from the small world interesting because he quickly mastered the power of the Emperor of the Rookies. Frank swings his sword, but the kid immediately jumps back along the edge of the crater as if he didn't mean to scare the man like that. Ching asks what the small world means. He remembers that the mummy was from the middle world. Apparently, there are small, middle, and big worlds in the universe. It seems to the guy that people from the middle world are much stronger than the representatives of his small world. The boy doesn't understand why the man is asking him, because he's not supposed to know. The capricious child is tired of talking and wants to move on to active actions. The boy summons bloodthirsty and aggressive mutated glass dragons of level 18 with 37 stars. The evil child orders the dragons to kill the man. Frank notes that only 37 stars means the kid is simply underestimating his opponent. The guy sends ice arrows with hellfire towards the dragons, which plunge straight into the evil, gaping dragon mouths. Killing a glass dragon will reward you with 4,100 experience points, 3 reputation points, and fire glass. Frank believes that fire glass is some kind of new resource. The guy continues to destroy mutated dragons. The new sword is great at cutting through beasts' mouths, and the angry child claps his hands looking at the flying dragon fangs. Watching glass dragons being killed delights him, just like normal children do watching their favorite cartoons. The kid wants to see how strong the Emperor of level 15 newbies is. The boy's strength puzzles Frank. The little brat summons a fire golem. The robot signals that the target has become more dangerous. King realizes that it was this monster that reached out to his chick when he was revolutionary and smashing the leader of the magma spirits. But the eye of true sight says that the monster is a level 19 hell demon king. Although it is an emperor rank, but it is a 100-star monster. Frank should be able to handle it. The boy playfully commands the man to die. But the man does not die. The Fire King admits that the enemy does have some skills. The young man wonders how long a person can hold out. The fire golem pounces on the guy with its entire giant body, intending to crush him with its fist like a fly. Frank withstands the hellish onslaught of the monster. However, the mountainside on which the boy is standing cannot withstand the pressure. The rock begins to crumble. The slope just explodes. But Ching manages to jump back to a safe distance. It is clear that the golem is controlled by a boy. We need to deal with the little sadist, and the giant problem will disappear. Frank tells Ray to find a safe place. The guy decides to attack the Fire King, manages to wound the boy's hand. The golem gets the same wound. The Fire King clearly didn't expect this outcome. The golem immediately attacks the man. The guy is saved by a protective dome. Ray is worried, but Sin explains that he is the golem's enemy, and the chick must fly away to a secluded place. Moreover, Frank was convinced that if he wounded the boy, the same wound would appear in his golem. The guy activates the shadow bonds, which completely bind the king. And as expected, the fire golem is also pacified. King rushes towards the smiling boy. He simply grins. An explosion occurs. The battered Fire King declares that he has begun to hate man. Svetly Luchik is concerned about the current situation. Frank doesn't understand what the king's body is made of, if it can easily withstand blows from a level 5 sword. The guy is clearly missing something. Even a small brat should have a weak spot. The blade aimed at his forehead does not bother the king at all. Much to Frank's surprise, the king praises the sword, saying he would like to have a blade like that too. Man and monster literally collide heads. The guy is very irritated by the nonsense that the boy keeps talking, and he stretches his hand up and declares that he has played enough. Pink clouds are gathering over the king, from which a spear appears, and it falls right into the hands of a boy greeting a man in hell. The boy rushes into attack. The fight begins. At a certain point, the Fire King finds himself in the air. That's when Frank activates the energy release. An arrow of released human energy pierces the small monster through and through. The wound is quite noticeable, but alas, not fatal for the malicious but immortal boy. Frank wonders, is this really the full power of an Emperor-class being? The boy notices that the man is very ignorant. When you reach 100 stars in combat power, you must pass the martial arts test. Otherwise, it will just be the peak of the human level. After an Earth-level master passes the martial arts test, his body is transformed by the heavenly path. It is clear to Chin that the kid took his words about the Emperor's class as about the earthly level, so he is ranting at the same time enlightening the guy. The king is confident that an Earth-level master can easily crush a human, even with the power of only 100 stars. Frank notes that the king apparently did not become an earthly master, which means he is not even close to being the Punisher's equal. The kid supposedly sees right through Chin and won't enlighten him. Shket is sure that even if a person erects a guardian altar and becomes a master of the earthly level, he will not be able to save anyone in the dragon pool. Because this village is just a pathetic pile of trash, and the Fire King doesn't need a Punisher to destroy the person right now. Frank is amazed at the level of the king's arrogance, but realizes that the task of defeating the Punisher will be very difficult, so he must quickly open the map. When moving to the earthly level, the master undergoes a serious transformation. But a human-level master with 130 stars will defeat the earthly level of 100 stars. The Fire King understands that the power of the person standing before him is not 130 stars, but his attack power was like that of a half-Earth level master. But the boy is already tired of all this. He is going to put his strength into one blow to kill the man. The fire golem appears again. The kid orders the golem to kill the man. The golem attacks. Frank claims he's seen these techniques before, and they won't work. The king does not agree with him. A spear pierces a man's chest. The boy declares that the golem should not repeat all his movements. The golem has no brains, but it can simply wave its arms and destroy everything around it. However, over the long years of coexistence, the golem sometimes understands the king and can even kill an enemy without the direct control of the ruler. Frank realizes that he was injured due to his own carelessness in a world where one must always remain vigilant. But once the spear leaves the body, the regeneration skill will be able to heal the wound. The king threatens to get angry because the man does not listen to him. The golem, as if having read the thoughts of its master, begins to destroy everything around it. Svetly Luchik desperately rushes to the rescue of his owner, but a golem stands in his way. The chick attacks fearlessly. The golem fends off the phoenix attacks in a helpless manner. The kid corrects the actions of the stupid giant, and he immediately grabs the chick in his fist, and then he just unclenches his hand. Frank lies there thinking that if he doesn't win, how will he protect the village and the lives of over 900 people? The guy just can't lose. Before the eyes of the astonished king, the man stands up on his feet. The boy acknowledges the inhuman willpower and strength of the enemy. Frank is spurred on by the fact that the kid dared to mock his pet in front of his owner. Ching attacks, shouting that it is impolite. At the same time, the guy activates the shadow clone and shadow bonds. The kid doesn't understand what's happening. Now Frank reproaches the king for not listening to him. King repeats that the shadow bonds have been activated. The Fire King is very surprised. Moreover, he is concerned about the situation. And Frank doesn't understand how he could let some brat do something like that. For killing the king, 3,000 experience points, 9 reputation points, and 300 responsibility points were awarded. The core of the Fire King was received for the mission. King is awarded the title of Newcomer Emperor for accumulating 100 stars of combat power and more than 100 reputation points. Physical parameters, agility, strength, and energy are raised by 80 points each. The ray warns of danger. This fire golem refuses to calm down even after the death of its master. Frank activates a blinding hellfire, and the system awards 890 experience points for killing a level 17 golem. Ray admires his owner, but he sees that the guy is distracted by something. This robot informs Frank that he is qualified enough to pass the martial arts test. To do this, you need to go to the Temple of 1,000 Appearances in the big world. During the test, the body will be transformed by the power of the heavenly path, and the title of Earthly Master will be awarded. The higher the boy is rated during the test, the greater the transformation power will be, and the more benefits will be received. The support service recommends to become stronger and strengthen your base. The guy activates regeneration on the pet. First, he is going to upgrade the village to level 2. The system reports that resident Simon has upgraded his hut to level 2 and his combat power to 30 stars. Frank has 10 points. The robot explains that a chieftain with a human-level combat power gains points when his villagers upgrade their huts and increase their level. It turns out that being a headman is also profitable. King estimates that if each of the 937 residents increases their combat power to 30 stars, they will receive 9,370 points. If only it had hundreds of millions of inhabitants, then the boy would have the power of a god. Here the robot asks the guy to come down to Earth and not indulge in empty illusions. The guy decides to contribute to the development of the inhabitants of the Dragon Pool in order to get a return in points. So he donated all 500 spirit vouchers he earned here. He also gave a bunch of ice stones to improve the houses in the village. With the Fire King's core, Frank plans to improve his Hellfire talent. The guy also puts all available resources up for exchange. He takes the kid's weapons, a level 4 Fire Fiend spear, and a Windmark blade. King gave the Fire Lotus flower to Ray to eat in the hope that the chick would become stronger. With all the animals in his zone, Frank reached his extraction limit. We need to open the map quickly to have access to new animals. There is an active fight going on. 4 are already laid out in a row. The Northerner lifts a huge boulder, which finishes off the 5th enemy. He declares that the warriors of the Northern Bear Country cannot be stopped. Everyone is discussing that Mr. Turganov has been in the Lost Village for 3 hours already. Turganov is the second most powerful resident of the district after Frank Ching. And when Turganov completes the mission, it will be possible to buy primal energy stones cheaper. The residents hope for Turgenev's success, because the dragon pool sells stones of primary energy very expensively. Frank didn't know that Turgenev had taken on the Elder's task. The Northerner is strong, but the seventh follower and the demon of hatred are tough rivals. Suddenly, an arrow flies past his face. The guy is indignant that attacking from behind the fog is not a manly act. King activates the Eye of True Sight and sees a mutated human, a level 20 guardian of the Forbidden Lands with 52 stars. The man from the small world was resurrected by the heavenly forces after his death in the last great battle of 10,000 worlds and made a guardian. The guardian releases his arrow again. Frank doesn't know if the next great battle might start on Blue Star, but he catches the arrow with just his hand. The guardian is shocked that a man from a small world was able to stop a light arrow with his bare hands. The guy sends the arrow back with the thought that the more people he meets, the more questions arise. An arrow pierces the head of the guardian of the Forbidden Lands of Zone Number 1. The kill awards 5,000 experience points and 100 responsibility points. The fallen guardian turns into a statue. Frank sees many similar statues around him, like an abandoned sculpture park, and there is a strong smell of blood. In the center of the sculpture field, a man sits on a pedestal, greeting a boy by name. The eye sees a guardian of the Forbidden Lands of the Emperor class. A level 20 person with 109 stars and talents of the mystery of earth and gold, wind and light control. The eye sees that he was a dragon tamer from the middle world who fell in one of the battles. The guardian had been watching the boy since he had secretly finished off a rodent and then a strong undead creature, and decided that Ching was the strongest in 1,000 years. For this reason, the guardian intends to destroy the guy. The dragon tamer attacks. King parries and counterattacks. The guardian is puzzled. It looks like fire, but it's cold, so it's hellfire. The tamer is impressed that the boy was even able to sneak up on him unnoticed. Here Frank strikes. The guardian does not have time to understand what exactly happened. Ching doesn't see the system notification, which means the guardian will be resurrected. This is what happens. The resurrected one complains that with age, skills are lost. But he would have put up a real fight to the guy if he had lived. Frank is tired of chattering. He intends to repeat the attempt to kill the talkative guardian. More than once, if necessary. But the inhabitant of the middle world smiles and offers friendship. Frank wonders if he intends to bribe him with some dragon blood fruits. These fruits awaken the talent of blood. The more you eat, the higher the concentration of true dragon blood. And if the concentration reaches 3%, then hereditary skills can be awakened. King asks the guardian what he can tell about the martial arts test. He explains that it is a gift from the heavenly path. The test results are divided into 5 levels. You can pass them with a low, medium, high, special, or divine level. And 99.9% of people pass them at a low level. Only 0.1% get an average level. 1/1000% of people get a high level. The guardian came to the tests among 1 billion people from the middle world. Then only a few got the high level. Not all geniuses with the title of Emperor of Novices were able to reach a high level before completing the novice trial. Only one person out of 100 billion gets a special level. Even in the big world, it is difficult to find such people. Legendary god-level masters have never been seen, but the guardian once saw a high-level master. The master participated in the martial arts test. At level 20, his combat power was 280 stars, but it did not end well. Therefore, the guardian believes that a special level requires the power of 300 stars and a level of at least 20. Frank wonders what this great battle of 10,000 worlds is. Once every 1,000 years, this battle takes place in the world where they live. Anyone can come to destroy the small, medium, or large world. People, evil spirits, monsters, spirits. All fight. The winners become gods. The losers are destroyed without a trace. Some races manage to survive, dragging out a miserable existence. If Frank can break the seal and enter the big world, he might meet the defeated races. The robot reports that the concentration of dragon blood is 3%. Blood talent has been increased to Class D, plus 100 all stats. The Guardian thinks that perhaps Ching will be able to destroy the world. Over the past 1,000 years, the tamer has become almost exhausted and can no longer restrain the imprisoned prisoner. If Ching can't contain him, then hell awaits the newcomer village. Frank eats fruits. His combat power has risen to 130 stars, but the blood talent has not yet awakened. The robot suggests trying again. King was very annoyed by the failure. The keeper suggests preserving the fruit for the future if the boy can't eat any more now. It will accumulate in the body. Frank is rich, but Ching does not believe that the Guardian's kindness is selfless. He gives the boy a golden spirit that enhances the power of the weapon, with the hope that Frank will free him. For some reason, Chin feels that this is not the only condition. Indeed, the water dragon also needs to be killed, as it no longer wants to wait, so the Guardian must be freed immediately. The eye sees the spirit as the hidden meaning of control over metal, which has been specially concentrated for 100 years, can be fused with weapons. Infinite extraction grants the Guardian the ability to manipulate wind, light, metal, and earth. The skills of managing the 5 elements merge. The Class A talent, the secret mystery of the 5 elements, is integrated. Frank is glad that he has developed a Class A fighting talent. Before his eyes, the Guardian turns into a statue. But there was a smile on his lips, and the last words of the dragon tamer from the middle world were for Ching not to worry. For himself and the people of Dragon's Pool, and for those who have suppressed the dragon's soul here for 1,000 years, Frank will kill this dragon. He has everything he needs for this. The core of the Earth King, who was the weakest of the kings. The core of the Metal King. The core of the Water King. Royal core of wood, as well as royal core of fire. Frank places all the cannonballs on the pedestal, and 5 multicolored pillars of light rise into the sky. Ray looks at them as if enchanted. Then the pedestal is simply smashed to pieces by a powerful tail. The eye sees an Emperor-ranked demon, a level 20 water dragon puppet with 143 stars and B-class wind and fire control talents. At the sight of the Guardian statue, the demon goes into a rage. And seeing all the other statues, he remembers how these people imprisoned him here for 1,000 years. The dragon screams that he will bury all living things in this world along with himself. A robot immediately appears with the final task of sacrificing the killed dragon puppet to the gods. The puppet goes berserk, threatening to kill all the vile people. Ray is depressed that the dragon puppet is beyond his power. Frank deflects the monster's attacks with his enhanced sword. The dragon is furious that a mere human broke his claw. The puppet has control over the spirits of wind and fire in this world. From the outside, it looks like energy is simply flowing from all sides towards the dragon. King recalls the Guardian's words that Earth-level masters can use the power of heaven and earth for their own needs. As the dragon absorbs energy, its combat power grows before our eyes. The dragon reaches the power of 200 stars and roars that this is enough for him to destroy the entire world. But the fast man manages to dodge all his attacks. In the arsenal are the boots of the god of winds with plus 100% to speed against the background of the talents of wind and speed of Class C. So the puppet, that is, the zombie dragon, cannot catch up with him. The beast is furious that man is just an arrogant brat. The dragon can't catch up with the guy. But even a living corpse is not affected by the superficial wounds inflicted by Ching. A stalemate. Frank ponders how to kill the corpses. The dragon activates sky-devouring flames, causing the man to run around quite a bit. The temperature around is just crazy, and the guy is not sure that even hellfire will work here. Frank activates the secret mystery of the 5 elements, linked like links in a chain, and unleashes a 5-fold ice storm. The idea is great, and it looks impressive. However, it is not effective, and Frank decides to try another bold experiment. He rushes straight into the mouth of an enraged dragon who is eager for man to know death. At first, the dragon doesn't even understand how he suddenly got so lucky. Did he finally swallow a man? Frank inside the dragon puppet tries to slow down the fall. It's cold and harsh here. Around the end of the upper quarter of his torso, Ching activates Ice Storm. The revived corpse screams louder than all the living. Even Frank finds the dragon's roar irritating. The beast rushes about, pierced by ice arrows from within. The entire body is pierced by numerous ice flows. The dragon spews flames. Ray freezes in anticipation. Frank gets out of the dragon, whose body is not alive. Ching simply does not believe that the puppet will be able to survive this. The beast is defeated for good this time. The carcass falls at the guy's feet. For killing a level 20 Imperial rank water dragon puppet, you get 100,000 experience points and 10 reputation points. Also 1,000 responsibility points. The difficult mission Seal of the 5 Elements is completed, plus 1,000 points and 2 chests of dark gold. The sky seems to shatter into pieces as the seal that restricts the village is released. Now you can travel the world and get more resources. The dragon's carcass glows. The next moment, a strange sphere appears. The carcass is reduced to a skeleton. The eye reveals that this is the essence of the dragon's soul, a fourth-order miracle of the earth and heaven, containing the remnant of the water dragon's soul. The essence flies straight towards Frank and plunges into his forehead. The system reports that the power of the dragon's soul has been received, which successfully awakens and brings plus 50 to physical characteristics, and also plus 50 to agility and strength, plus 300 to energy. The inherited skill greatness of the dragon is awakened. This aggressive skill emits an incorporeal spiritual force that suppresses the will, scaring away all living things. Frank already has 155 stars. Infinite extraction grants the skill True Essence of the Wind, which is upgraded to B and awakens the talent Aerial Glider. Now Ching has a pair of wings to soar through the skies. It's much more effective than his wind god boots. Ray is delighted that his owner can fly with him, but the boy is sad that the lotus flower has not yet had any effect on the chick. The robot congratulates you on completing your mission and hands you a map of the big world. The temples of 1,000 appearances are marked in blue, and the villages of newcomers are marked in red. The villages around the temple create a district of about 10,000, each home to 1 million people, for a total population of 10 billion. The guy decides to start opening chests made of dark gold. Drops rank 5 dragon armor with resistance plus 100% to wind, metal, water, and fire. Physical characteristics, agility and strength plus 100, defense plus 500. The combat power immediately becomes 158 stars. Ray considers the owner the most beautiful killer in the world. A 3-dimensional space falls out of the second chest, the ownership of which must be secured with a blood oath. The space is used to grow and maintain living beings and spiritual plants, and can also be used to store objects. Ching extracts a drop of blood. The system establishes ownership and explains that the movement of oneself or objects is carried out by the power of thought. Instantly, Ray is left alone. 3-dimensional space is amazingly capacious. Thrifty Frank places dragon bones here, which are a rank 5 material and are dropped by Emperor rank monsters and above. The path to the nearest temple lies through the Forest of Sorrows, the Chess Valley, and the Sky Lake, and there are only 3 days left until the end of the newbie trial. Ching returns to the joy of the worried Ray. Phoenix did not feel the owner while he was in his 3-dimensional space. Frank and his pet set off into the big world. The Forest of Sorrows is full of fragrant birch trees and level 0 yuan trees, as well as level 1 sandalwood and ebony trees. Kun got 6 beasts in total, levels 11, 12, and 21. But monsters above level 20 can be killed twice, each time receiving 3 points. There are already 91 level 2 huts and 471 level 1 huts in the dragon pool. There are 9 level 2 huts left and 6 level 10 newbies. Excellent leveling speed. Frank allows residents of level 8 and above to come here to harvest wood. Suddenly, the guy hears people. King rushes towards the sound, believing it to be the race that lost the great battle. He discovers a girl being attacked by a monster. She calls Yura. The guy literally snatches the girl from the clutches of the beast, and he entrusts Ray to deal with the monster. The Phoenix chick easily destroys level 23 electric ferrets, each of which awards 2,600 experience points. Some ferrets even deign to be informed by the chick of their impending, inevitable death. Frank and a terrified girl watch the electric ferret population decline from the sidelines. A guy appears, whom the girl calls Yura. Yura asks if Ching is the same master, one of the applicants who came 3 days ago. King in turn asks who they are and how they know his language. Yura was warned by the Heavenly Path 4 days ago about a contender who knows their language. The girl explains that they are surprised because Frank is the first applicant who has come to them in the past 1,000 years. Yura, level 11, 28 stars, and Julia, level 10, 24 stars, descendants of the losers from the middle world, kneel down and call Ching the great savior. Frank makes excuses out loud, saying that he was just passing by and didn't even know that people were in danger. But he himself thinks, why are people from the middle world almost without stars? Julia is sure that there can be no mistake. After all, the guy has a very powerful spiritual pet, and he saved them from the beasts, which means he is the savior of their clan. Ray chirps on a mountain of animal corpses. A robot appears and explains that Ching has activated the Save the Fallen Clan mission, which will reward the Chi clan with unconditional loyalty. The guys call Ching a great master. He asks to be addressed by his first name, the rescued refuse. They agree on the option Boss Ching. At this time, the leader of the electric ferrets discovers his fallen subjects and smells the scent of people from them. The leader intends to take harsh revenge and calls his fellow tribesmen from all over the area. Ferrets come running in great numbers to the call. The leader orders revenge. The settlement sentry reports the return of Yulia and Yura. Their fellow tribesmen come out to meet them and do not understand why only two have returned. Yulia sadly explains to her aunt that they were attacked by electric ferrets and everyone else died. They brought the bodies of the dead that they could take away. The rest of the people were eaten by ferrets. The boys are descendants of the Chi clan from the Middle World who lost a great battle. The survivors were scattered around the world as punishment. They cannot become higher than level 15, nor can they awaken talents and skills. 1,000 years have passed, and there are only about 300 people left from the Chi clan. Elder Sean comes out and thanks them for returning the bodies of the dead home. Yura runs up and explains to his grandfather that Boss Chin is their savior and the new contender of 1,000 worlds. The elder asks Frank to talk aside. He tells him that the possibility of salvation for their clan is a lie. Upon taking office, the new elder receives an ancient scripture stating that the savior is the village elder with the title of Emperor of the Newcomers. But Sean understands that in 7 days, only one person in a billion can fulfill these two conditions. So he apologizes for his grandchildren disturbing Chin. Frank reports that he meets both criteria. Headman Sean cries with happiness that they were lucky enough to live until the arrival of the savior. At this moment, electric ferrets are noticed approaching. Sean commands everyone to take up arms and form up. Frank notices that the ferrets are attacking just in time and takes off on his wings. Ching noticed that the leader did not personally participate in the attack on the settlement, but stood on a hill and watched over his subjects. The boy and the Phoenix chick decide to deal with the newly minted Vendetta Masters. Frank activates the ice storm, and the arrows pierce the level 23 electric ferrets with flying colors, awarding 2,600 points for each kill. Svetly Luchik actively contributes to the extermination of animal populations. Ching attacks the leader, who tries to hold the line, but the guy quickly breaks off the leader of the ferret's horn. Killing an Emperor-ranked Electric Ferret King will reward you with 24,000 experience points and 5 reputation points. Plus, you'll get a gold chest. Endless Extraction grants the B-class talent True Essence of Thunder and Lightning and awakens the skill Crazy Thunderclap. Headboy Sean hands Frank a scroll. All the residents crowded behind him. The scroll contains a contract bestowed by the heavens between the master and the subordinates, which is activated by a drop of the master's blood. Frank believes that the Skyway contract will ensure him greater loyalty than that of the people of his village. Ching activates the contract. The robot reports the residents of the Chi clan become his followers and automatically receive the status of residents of the Dragon Pool. With the signing of the contract, the 1,000-year punishment of the Chi clan is lifted. From now on, the restrictions on the level and awakening of talents are lifted. The inhabitants rejoice as their innate talents immediately begin to awaken. They are no less delighted by the control panel, which has all the necessary attributes and functions for players. Frank even gets tired of the numerous system notifications about awarding 10 points for subordinates reaching level 30, flickering like an animation. Here the light ray literally falls asleep before our eyes, saying that he will soon move to a new level. The robot congratulates Chin, his pet, on leveling up, which requires him to be provided with safe conditions. Frank believes that his three-dimensional space is ideal for this, and the sleeping ray goes there. The robot reminds us to choose the location of new rookie huts for the Chi clan residents. The guy believes that since the clan has lived here for hundreds of years, there is no point in changing their place of residence. Huts can be built in this place. The robot reports the completion of construction. The mission to save the fallen clan has been completed. 300 points are given and the right to build a teleportation array. The entry-level teleport requires level 5 stone, iron ore, wood, and bones. Frank immediately builds a teleportation array in the Dragon Pool and in the Chi clan, which are the basis for the creation of the Guardian altars. Then the altar of the Guardian is erected in the Dragon Pool. With the construction of the altar, the village moves to level 2 in one click. The messages about 10 points for subordinates reaching level 30 continue to be full. 400 were awarded for the teleportation array, 500 for the construction of the Guardian's altar. 400 points are given for a village of level 2 and 3,400 for residents reaching 30 stars in power. In total, the guy gets 4,700 points, which gives physical characteristics, strength and agility plus 1,000, Energy plus 1,700. Combat power is already 196 stars. You can build 5 teleportation arrays and settle 5,000 residents. The professions of blacksmith, pharmacist, and tailor, which transform resources, are available. Since Frank can control all 5 elements, he can master all 3 professions, which are needed to upgrade the hut to level 4. Conditions for Dragon Pool to reach level 3 appear: population from 1,800, headman's house level 4, more than 3 public buildings. Frank tells the elder Sean that he will leave the settlement, but he does not even notice him, absorbed in the possibilities of the system screen. All the newly minted wards, like Sean, are caught up in the systemic whirlpool. Some buy weapons, some blue star clothes. Ching flies away from the settlement. He is worried that on the 4th day in the world of chaos, almost all villages have a population level of 4 to 5, which will not save them from the Punisher. The faster Frank gets to the other villages, the greater the chances of saving their inhabitants, as long as the allotted time lasts. Shin must obtain 300 stars, because if he does not pass the martial arts test with a high score, then there is no chance of winning the great battle. Suddenly, in the sky, he encounters a brazenly grinning man, who, instead of greeting, attacks. Frank parries the blow. The man states that the guy has a reaction, and attacks again. Cena is furious that some stranger is provoking him for no reason. The attack fails. The stranger smirks that the guy was just lucky this time. But Frank simply has no time to play aimlessly. For killing an Earth-level Guardian, 1 million experience points and another 327 points were awarded. The guy asks the robot what is so special about this stranger that he was given an unprecedented 1,327 points. The Guardians are the descendants of the losers of the Great Clan Battle. The Guardians are rivals to the Pretenders, which is why the rewards for killing them are so high. The robot warns of the incredible danger of the Guardians and the need to remain vigilant. Before the support representative can finish speaking, another surprise attack follows. Another Guardian stands over the body of the fallen one, who had a half-Earth level, then Ching instantly defeated him. The guy breaks the spear aimed at him. The Guardian states that the enemy does not have heavenly power, most likely only a semi-earthly level, and he activates the inherited techniques. The summoned chain of stones flies towards the guy, and the Guardian activates the 100-fold pulling force 3 times. As a result, an unreal boulder falls on Frank. Icy Storm or Hellfire won't work because your arms and legs are busy. King summons shadow clones, but they won't last long, having only half the strength of the owner. The Keeper deals with clones quite quickly, after which he switches his attention to the original enemy. Frank hears the request to be allowed to go out and releases Ray, who looks like a half-girl, half-bird. Ray attacks the Keeper. The guy is simply shocked. The bird screams that there is no time to explain. Let the owner grab her by the tail. Frank's hands are busy. Ray advises using his teeth in this case. And immediately, because she won't be able to hold out for long. The pet is trying its best. There is no choice of rescue options. And the guy grabs the tail of the Phoenix chick with his teeth. Everything around is flashing like in a whirlpool. Frank is in the process of falling. Ray can't teleport far, so it's better for them to hide right away. The guy grabs the pet and they are transported into 3-dimensional space. The Guardian stops sensing the presence of the enemy. He is sure that the girl could not carry the guy so far that he would not feel his aura. Frank is shocked. He can't believe that the girl with ponytails and in a dress is his bright Ray. She insists that no one in the world has such beautiful eyes and such shining feathers. The robot immediately reports that the flaming lotus can help the battle pet gain human form. But Ching was sure that his pet was a boy. He tells Luchik that they won't take baths together anymore. She doesn't understand what's going on, because her plumage also requires care. Frank speculates that the first Guardian was half-Earth level, the second earthly, so anyone in Chin's place would already be dead. So before going back, it's worth raising your combat power. The guy will use all his stock of food and items. As a result, the concentration of dragon blood is 10.03%. Blood talent transformations increase energy, agility, attack power, and all stats by 200. Frank is level 17 with 120 reputation and 299 stars. Pet level 10 with 120 stars power, but with control technique, it can be increased to 180 stars. It is also worth considering 2 clones with 150 stars of combat power each. The guy thinks he's ready to fight. He is immediately met with the expected attack, and a whole group of Guardians. Frank is even surprised that so much effort was put into defeating him. The Guardians shamanize in chorus, and the opponent activates Annihilation, the collective technique of the Song clan. A ball of energy rushes towards the guy. The explosion is simply deafening. To create this technique, clan members work together to summon the divine spirit of the earth that fills their bodies. After passing through the bodies, the energy of the earth is purified, and the master of the earthly level collects the energy from the bodies of fellow tribesmen into a spiritual ball, increasing this energy. Destroy is devastating, but after activation the master is weakened and immobilized for 10 seconds. But the keeper is not worried because it is impossible to survive the impact of a spiritual ball. At least that's how it used to be. Frank, Ray, and the clones mow down the guardians of the Ching clan one by one. For each one, the experience points are awarded much less than for the first guardian. The master simply doesn't believe his own eyes. How did the guy manage to survive the clan's most powerful technique? If he doesn't escape, he'll just die. As soon as Ching approaches the keeper, he immediately runs away. Moreover, the keeper runs away with such speed that even with wings, Frank cannot keep up with him. The guardian arrives at the nearest settlement, Taiyu, and immediately rushes to the teleport. The guardian disappears into the teleporter with the threat that the Song army will crush Frank's village. The guy pounds on the pedestal, but the keeper has already disappeared. King regrets that he missed a lot of points. The robot suggests establishing a connection between this teleport and the dragon pool using a transmission card. The portal connects two places, and only residents of the dragon pool can use it. King informs that he has connected the village in Taiyu, an ancient abandoned city, but until he has explored it, it is better for the residents not to go there. Frank arrives at Sky Lake. There should be a temple above the lake. Those who can't fly have to climb a rope ladder. Frank flies up to the majestic structure of the temple. The guardian spirit of the first palace appears, a mutated flying snake of level 30 with 100 stars. The spirit demands to show its strength. King entrusts the demonstration to Luchik. The system reports that free movement within the first palace is permitted. There are 9 palaces in the temple, guarded by spirits. The first is the Palace of Secrets of Nature, which must be entered to receive missions. Killing inside is prohibited. Entering the palace, the guy sees a decent queue in front of him. All candidates with the title of Emperor of Novices. There are currently 4 people from the middle world, 12 from the big world, and only Frank from the small world. Moreover, it seems as if the inhabitants of the big world enter the temple through a teleport. The queue discusses that the young guy from the small world was clearly just lucky to get here. The gray-mustached pretender thinks that the title of Emperor of Newcomers is great for the small world. The blonde in the revealing outfit finds Chin interesting. The blonde declares that even if the guy is the weakest in line, he is cute and to her taste. She licks her lips, saying that when she becomes the empress of the big world, she will get this boy into her harem. And Frank hears them discussing him. Gray Mustache successfully posts the bail and receives a B-class mission and the corresponding token. The line whispers about how lucky the old man is, because such a mission can result in a purple chest. Frank had no idea that there was any deposit required to get the mission. A girl passes by, upset about the D-class mission. In her hands, she holds an object familiar to Chin. The next person in line gets a Class B token again. This is a lucky centaur girl who does not hide her joy. Gray Whiskered clarifies that the centaur provided as collateral the core of hatred, which dropped for doubling the difficulty of the task to kill the demon of hatred. The centaur adds that even the double difficulty of that task was too easy. It's Frank's turn. The Q thinks that the guy has no chance of anything except an E-class mission, which is a pity to waste any effort on. A girl passing by had in her hand the bracers of light that Ching had once exchanged. He did not immediately recognize them because his were purified. As collateral, the guy offers bracers, rings, and artifacts of the demon of hatred. Something strange is happening. Everyone stands with their mouths open. The deposit is accepted, and 3 missions and 3 tokens are given, classes C, D, and S. Under the astonished gaze of the parting line, the guy leaves the temple. Nobody understands how a person from a small world got 3 tokens, because an S-class mission is worth no less than a mythical chest. Frank is surprised to see the temple crumble before his eyes after his exit. The robot explains that after sunset, the temple disappears and reappears at sunrise. At the same time, a council of elders is taking place in the Song clan, where the escaped keeper convinces those present that he escaped from the challenger. Because when that guy killed his comrade, The body was enveloped in a white glow, which is what happens when a challenger kills a guard. The challenger is no less than an Earth-level master, because after the collective technique, he calmly continued the fight. The elder states that there are more applicants, and as guardians they are obliged to kill more of them. Once a candidate is found near Taiyu, the search will begin from that abandoned city. After all, if all the challengers were killed, the strength of their Kang clan would rise to a new level, allowing them to participate in the next great battle. The elder orders to send 500 people from the main office and 300 from each of the others. That is, in the morning, 3,000 people will be sent to Taya. The young members of the Chang clan do not understand why they should wait until the morning when they can attack under cover of night. They explain to him that a mysterious monster lives in the heavenly lake, which every night calls upon all those who died here by unnatural deaths. These ghosts destroy all living things in their path, and Taiyu, the closest city to the lake, therefore became a ghost town. Empty and abandoned during the day, Taiyu lives the life of a big city at night. Frank is invited into the establishment for food and drink. The girl suggests relaxing, having a snack, and forgetting yourself in the arms of a beauty. But the eye of truth shows what the food advertised by the barker really is, just like the true appearance of a languid beauty. The guy is indignant. How dare the undead flirt with him? Here the inhabitants, who a second ago looked like ordinary people, take on their true appearance and buzz that they are exposed, since the guest knows everything. Finally, they can eat the guest's fresh meat. Bone harpoons emerge from the mouths of the inhabitants. They're all aimed at the guy, who is forced to dodge in every possible way from the ubiquitous harpoons, and also the sharp claws of hungry undead, to which the flames of hell are literally like a poultice for the dead. The Song clan members discuss that in reality, there are only grains of the townspeople's souls here, so physical attacks do not work on them. Frank, tired of pointlessly cutting the air, comes to the same conclusion from his own experience. Spirits of only level 30 with 150 stars become dangerous only when they gather in groups. They use a ghostly howl that splits the mind. The soul of the attacked person is separated from his body, and the spirits rush at it, trying to absorb it. Frank activates the acoustic shield, and off we go. Furious thunder effectively mows down spirits. Each one yields 130 justice points and 12,000 experience points. Ching becomes a level 8 judge. The guy regrets that the spirits who drag out a miserable existence do not have the opportunity to be reborn. He sincerely wishes for the cleansing power of thunder and lightning to free the spirits. Frank reaches level 18 with a combat power of 320 stars. A whirlpool of strange green mist swirls around him. And the next moment, a guy in a casual business suit is standing in the middle of an office space. A colleague approaches him and says that the director was looking for him. Another colleague asks that the report be on her desk in half an hour. The director praises the guy for his excellent work, and he says he's being promoted to administrator with 30 days of paid vacation and end-of-year bonuses. Frank accepts the promotion like a zombie. In the evening, the guy puts on a show for his colleagues. He is left with a keen sense of something missing, but he can't figure out what's going on. In reality, the sleeping Frank is immersed in a glowing ball at the bottom of the celestial lake, and spirits hungry for prey are swimming towards him from all over. Ray screams for the owner to wake up faster, but her attempts to reach the guy's consciousness are unsuccessful. Frank is now in a modern city, although some passers-by look quite extravagant. But the people, the streets, and the city itself seem unreal. Everyone around him seemed unreal, although Frank suspected that he might have problems with his head. Suddenly, everyone looks up. Strange people descend from the sky riding on dragons. They declare that the blue star is a planet that now belongs to them, and all others must disappear. The people on the dragons seem familiar to the guy. They are attacking the city. Passers-by run away in panic, just like Frank. Here he sees before him the image of the light ray, screaming for the master to wake up and save the pet. Ching rushes to the rescue. A sword appears in his hand. The guardians on dragons are doomed. The guy deals with all the invaders and looks at the city through the window. Frank feels like he's jumped straight from the first illusion to the second, and whoever created them is making people and things from Chin's memory attack him. This means that the creator of the illusion's goal is the guy's death, which means that the next attempt will not be long in coming. A shot follows. A capture group with machine guns breaks through a hole in the wall and reports on the destruction of the target and readiness for the next order. To Frank, who hears everything from his own three-dimensional space, this seems like something new. The capture team requests ground support, and Ching is surprised that they are trying to kill him with modern weapons and not with heavenly forces. The guy's even interested in testing the effectiveness of his powers against modern weapons. The skills are showing themselves well, because flesh can stop bullets. A special forces soldier throws a grenade. Frank blocks the force of the explosion with his energy. Under the building, tanks aim their guns, and they shout at the guy that he is surrounded. The invaders are ready to open fire to kill. For this case, Ching has wings, which perfectly solve the problem with the environment. But Frank doesn't run away, but lands in the middle of a cluster of armored vehicles. The tanks open fire, but the gunfire does not cause any harm to Ching. But it's a bit annoying. The guy playfully tears off the tank's barrel. Frank doesn't have much knowledge of the armored vehicles of the Dragon Country, so a detailed illusion is simply impossible. Ching activates Ice Storm. The effect is excellent, the illusory special forces swear, but the swearing is muffled by censorship. The guy sees that the illusion is becoming unstable, which means it will soon fall apart. But then aviation enters the battle. They're firing a bunch of missiles at Ching. He rises up to be on equal terms. The pilots attack the target in panic. The air battle is chaotic. Frank activates Furious Thunder. The illusory aviation was smashed to smithereens. And the guy understands that now he is not afraid of modern armored vehicles. And even 300 stars are enough to conquer the small world. And what can we say about the power of one or several thousand stars? Is it acceptable to ignore the world order for the sake of one person's aspirations? But the illusion is crumbling before our eyes, so this is not the best time for philosophical reflection. Although Frank even regrets that it didn't come to a nuclear bomb so that he could test his capabilities. The illusion disappears, the guy thanks the exhausted pet. There is a whole whirlpool of undead around him, who is eager to get the guy. And Ching directs all his indignation towards a specific goal, which created this illusion, and also controls the undead. But the target is covered by the carcass of a king-level monster, which is killed with one blow. The eye identifies the demon, a level 35 Emperor rank dark magic caster with 350 stars and an A-class dark law talent. The demon was previously a dark messenger of the Lord of Justice, and senses the aura of a judge from the boy. She expected nothing less from the destroyer of her illusion, but Frank attacks without listening to the dark sorcerer, and attacks again, not allowing your time to be wasted on empty talk. The caster dodges attacks, but she is irritated by the chaos that the guy causes in her home. King does not answer the demon, which manages to attack him, which only makes Frank more determined. The battered spellcaster grumbles that the guy is clearly tired of living. He acts like a sick bastard from her point of view. These words are the last ones spoken by the caster. Ching finds her illusions interesting, but he simply doesn't need them. Killing a demon will give you 1 million experience points, 5,000 justice points, and 15 reputation points, as well as a core of darkness, a dark seal, and 3 gold chests. Ching believes that the demon wanted to get his power as a judge, so she used the power of spirits to trap him in an illusion. But this helped him understand his desires. Endless Extraction grants the A-class talent, Dark Law, and awakens the skill, Dark Dispersion. Ching was a man who lived a routine life. But in the world of chaos, everything has changed. Frank can protect the people he loves while gaining even more power. He wants to be an outstanding being. The boy notices a path of crystals leading to a house at the bottom of the lake. Walking along the path, he enters a dwelling, which, judging by the aura, belonged to the murdered dark sorcerer. Here is a dragon and phoenix furnace of level 5 with a probability of alchemical transformations of 200%, production time minus 100%, and a healing effect of plus 100%. And also countless flasks, test tubes, and jars. The demon was a rich alchemist. But no matter what Frank touches, the eye sees everything as unsuccessful products of alchemical processing with varying degrees of toxicity. All discovered stocks are not recommended for internal use. However, you can exchange an unusable tablet for 1 contribution point. However, the guy decides to first apply infinite extraction to the caster's unsuccessful experiments, which successfully extracts toxins and impurities from the product, transforming unusable pills into useful ones, which can be used 8 to 10 pieces at a time. 1 pill adds plus 7 to energy and plus 11 to physical attributes, which is more than from level 2 spiritual plants. Endless Extraction will turn the demon's trash into treasure. He will take as much as he can and give the rest to the villagers. A treat in accordance with one's strength and contribution to the development of the dragon pool will encourage residents to try even harder and will increase Chin's reputation. Since there is still time before dawn, Frank decides to delve into the missions he has received. The S token breaks when activated. The God's Village mission consists of 5 stages with increasing difficulty. First, destroy all spirits in Taiyu, completed. Second, kill the mysterious inhabitant and cleanse the heavenly lake, completed. Frank is delighted that, without even realizing it, he has already completed 2 stages of the mission. A super synthesis card and a card of a protective shield that lasts 24 hours and is indestructible have been obtained. Residents of Dragon Pool will receive 1,000 points, 1 Taiyu Lands ownership card, 1 Divine Fortune card, and 1 Super Fusion card. King was worried that the Guardians might attack the Dragon Pool, but the land ownership map allows him to destroy their connection to the portal to Taiyu. And even if the Guardians stamp their feet, the guy will simply cover the residents with a shield card. Kin is also given a card with the right to fuse EX abilities. It determines the target's ability and selects 2 compatible skills to fuse. The robot explains with an example. He encountered a dragon. The robot activates the card, which becomes the food card. After determining the target necessarily eats and evaluates the product. The card flies into the dragon, turning into a mountain of food, which the dragon eats and no longer wants to eat the robot. In any case, the card hits the target, no matter what level it is. Then the guy suddenly gets a call from Julia. She explains that her Awakened Class A talent temporary position covers 5 meters of territory. Outside, 1 day passes, and inside, 2 days pass. Grandfather told her that this was a rare talent that could be useful to Chin. Frank immediately sets up a teleporter right in the demon's abode. The guy needs to pass a martial arts test, and to get to the god level in it, he will need more time to become stronger. Yuli is waiting patiently. She remembers a conversation with her grandfather. Elder Sean understands that although their tribe is Frank's followers, they are different from the people of Dragonpool. Grandfather acknowledges his granddaughter's intelligence, beauty, and talents. If Yulia became Chin's concubine, the master would always remember them. Yulia objects that he is not like that. Grandfather understands the girl's objections as her relative. But as an elder, he is obliged to think about the future of his clan. Sean insists that Ching is a rising talent, and if he has feelings for Yulia, it will be a blessing for their clan. Frank asks Julia to get through the teleport to the Heavenly Lake, where he is waiting for her. Julia activates the teleport. As they exit the platform, Frank extends his hand to the arriving girl. She happily grabs the guy's hand, considering this a sign of attention on his part, not realizing that this is simply a way of transporting into personal 3-dimensional space. Julia looks around with curiosity. Frank reports that they are in a safe place and asks Julia to activate her ability. The girl sets her temporary position. After this, the primary countdown begins. Frank thanks Julia and explains that he will practice and gives the girl a potion that enhances her abilities. She thanks the gentleman. The guy estimates that it will take an hour to extract, but in the force field it will take half an hour. He starts processing the mountain of supplies. The guy absorbs everything he can after extraction, and Yulia is busy sorting through a mountain of bottles. While working, she thinks that she would like to stay with the master, but without pursuing any goals. Frank reaches the limit of absorbing spiritual plants with level 18, reputation 145, and combat power of 380 stars. This result is not enough for him. A new profession appears to be learned for 20,000 contribution points. Alchemist. Ching recalls that he once even read a novel with a similar title. The guy studies introductory alchemy, becomes a beginner alchemist, and gets basic recipes. For each processing, he gets 1 mastery point. When you get 100 out of 100 points, you will be granted the status of a mid-level alchemist. Each pill takes 20 minutes, so it will take 33 hours to reach the mid-level. Yulin's talent will reduce real time to 17 hours, but the Keeper's threats to the Dragon Pool are still fresh in the memory. Frank decides to take a risk and uses the ability fusion card. The skills of Shadow Clone and Shadow Dispersion are merged. The guy didn't expect this at all, but he gets a new skill, Master of the Shadow Flow. Now both clones have the full power of the owner, and it is impossible to distinguish them from him. They play the track River of Desires. Frank purchases alchemy furnaces for the clones, believing that the 3 of them will learn alchemy faster. Stunned, Julia watches her 3 masters work at once. The guy thinks that the track is constantly playing, if not a joke, than a bug in the system. But with three of us, things really do move much faster. Moreover, not all procedures work the first time, but +1 to mastery is still dripping. If you don't interrupt the process, then at this rate you can finish it in 5.5 hours. In the future, the only problem in pumping alchemy will be time. Endless extraction turns the process into waste-free production. In the clan of Guardians, people are ready to act. Someone is indignant. Why such an army was assembled for the sake of one contender from a small world? But the outraged are reminded that one strong elder died, and Tuk, being a master of the earthly level, barely escaped with his life. The challenger is incredibly strong. 100-star masters who have not passed the martial arts test are considered to be of the half-earth level. The half-earth level consists of 3 stages. The stages are awarded after defeating the spirit beasts guarding the first 3 temples. Those who reach the 4th temple and pass the test are of the earthly level. In the same way, the earthly level is divided into stages. The returned guardian Tuk is a master of the earthly level of the 4th stage and an elder of the 7th stage. The elder is informed that 3,100 people have been gathered. He himself will remain in anticipation of an attack by a neighboring clan and appoints his assistant Gun to command. The Guardians prioritize killing the challenger over possible attacks from short-sighted neighbors. The first group of Guardians line up at the teleport pad with activation stones, but nothing happens. The Elder realizes that the portals between their village and Taiyu are now disconnected. The winged wolf opened its toothy mouth. The system reports that the palace on the 2nd level can be entered without hindrance. Thanks to Julia's talent, Frank achieved the maximum with the improvement of his characteristics. Julia helped not only with alchemy, but also sorted out all the current issues that arose, allowing Chin to fully concentrate. There is a crowd again in the 2nd level temple. The robot reports that the number of candidates is at its maximum, and universal duels can begin. Under the feet of the candidates is a huge portal that can transport them to any place in the world. To use it, you need a universal stone. But to get this stone, you have to fight and take it from the enemy. Each contender is given 3 stones. The winner of the duel gets all the stones of his opponent. The one who collects the most stones becomes the winner and gets the organizer's secret prize. One of the contenders does not want to participate and asks if he can give up the stones and just leave. The robot confirms that this is possible, but the applicant will die. The would-be refuser feels as if hundreds of swords are piercing his body. No one expected the smiling robot to be so strong. The robot asks to confirm its participation in the competition. The system itself selects opponents based on personal data. Colored spotlights are turned on. The robot announces that the first battle of the Universal Stones competition will begin soon. He introduces the participants. Harry from the Middle World Vaucluse will fight Frank from the small world of Blue Star. The opponents only see each other's level. The stands are full of spectators. There are 10 seconds to place a bet. Those who do not place a bet will lose the opportunity to watch the next match. Frank sadly realizes that the audience perceives everything as just a game of chance. The robot announces the start of a fight without restrictions and without rules. Harry strikes, which Frank blocks with his hand, and he fights back, knocking down his opponent. Harry is shocked. His 30-ton punch only slightly deformed the guy's arm for a second. He is a little tense despite the fact that the enemy is from a small world, but he is still confident that his firepower will definitely bring victory. Harry is clearly from the technogenic world because he looks more like a Terminator than a human. He fires missiles from the guns that appeared on his shoulders. Frank repels the attack. There is an explosion. The arena is covered in clouds of smoke. The robot comments that both opponents have disappeared. But the fight continues. Ching strikes the opponent's hand, which is simply removed from the hinge, turning out to be mechanical. However, Harry's technical capabilities do not diminish at all. The blade crushes the iron pieces. Springs and bolts fly in all directions. Harry tries to reach the enemy with his telescopic probes, which rush towards Frank from all sides. Harry praises his opponent's defense and speed, but he wouldn't need to dodge if he were truly invulnerable. The guy declares that his capabilities are enough to win. King grabs 2 probes with his bare hands, but at the same time, 2 other probes are pinching Frank's legs. The shadow bonds and the talent of earth control allow the guy to gain a foothold and stand. But if this lasts long, the cyborg Harry will simply break his legs. Frank honestly admits that he has a worthy opponent. King notes that steel melts with fire, so he wonders if his fire can melt Iron Man. The guy activates Hellfire. Harry is shocked. Since awakening his S-rank talent, he has not met an equal opponent. And the shadow fetters are right there. The only surviving hand is captured. Harry is on his back, after which it spins like a propeller. Screws and bolts fan out around. Frank delivers a finishing blow to make sure. The enemy is clearly defeated and thrown aside. King tells the robot that his opponent is barely able to move, so he has won. The robot asks Harry if he can continue fighting. Harry realizes that the Universal Stone will allow him to travel to different villages for rewards, but the dead man doesn't need them. Frank can literally feel the tension building in the audience. Harry admits defeat, and the robot announces that restrictions have been lifted. It offers to place bets and promises a reward to the winner. Ching does not understand what restrictions are being discussed. But then, before his eyes, hundreds of hungry spirits rush from the spectator stands towards the defeated opponent. Harry is literally torn apart. The spirits scream that they want to rise again. Soon, Harry is completely buried under them. Frank is shocked. He explains that the robot deliberately kept silent about the fate of the loser. The robot smiles and reminds that the world is not a toy. Any battle here is deadly, and also asks the applicant not to slander the support service. Frank clarifies that all the spectators are the contenders who lost their fights, one of whom will be Harry. The robot hands the guy 3 stones and offers him a choice, to continue fighting or not. The guy has 6 stones, but he needs 10 more, and he can't retreat because his people are waiting for him. Ching will continue the fight. The robot reminds that viewers with a winning bet can take part in the competition if they have collected the required number of soul fragments. Colored spotlights run across the hall, and the audience raises their hands in hope. The choice falls on a representative of the Dan Zeng clan, Sar. He is offered to choose his appearance. Sar has waited 1,000 years for this opportunity. He is from a clan that lost a great battle. His family barely survived while waiting for a new emperor to emerge. But 8 days after the arrival of the pretender, everything that Sar held dear was destroyed. The killer left a piece of cloth. There was some symbol on the rag. That's when Sar decided to take revenge. He wanted the heavens to stop hating his clan, and he rushed towards the Temple of 1,000 Appearances, driven by the possibility of revenge. But in the duel with the challenger, Sar lost. The applicant did not immediately remember the name Dan Zen, but Sar immediately recognized the symbol on the clothes. The spirits were already pulling him, but he continued to shout that he would kill the murderer. Only then did the challenger remember his clan, and he arrogantly called the Dan Zen clan just a bunch of trash. Sar's last words were a promise to kill the emperor of the novices at any cost. Sar is confident that only by choosing the body of the most terrible monster will he be able to carry out his revenge. But he is ready to become a monster for this. A Sar monster, suspiciously similar to an alien, is eager to fight. The robot announces the start of the battle. Frank starts with a fire attack, without much success. The robot didn't ask for bets because first he wants to tell you about the look that Sar chose for himself. Sar fights in the body of a clone of a mysterious beast from a space crack. The beast has Class B speed and Class A strength. Metal and stones are easily torn apart by the claws and teeth of the beast. The clone's skin appears soft and smooth, but he has a virtually invulnerable body. But the main feature is that the beast's blood explodes instantly upon contact with the target. Defense below rank 4 simply won't help. Frank realizes that the invulnerable, strong, and fast monster is the perfect killing machine. In the clone's body, the contestant's power rose to 400 stars. The robot offers to place bets on winning. Ching attacks again without success. The clone fights the enemy hand-to-hand. Frank activates the Dark Knight Blade, which breaks with a crash. The guy is angry because he lost his best weapon. The fierce fighting continues. Frank summons Hellfire. And suddenly Ching sees Sar's memories, whose whole life seems to be scrolling in front of the guy on the screen. The leitmotif is the destroyed clan and revenge. But revenge, the face and the symbol from the killer's clothes, overshadow all other memories. King believes that Sar is trying to soften his heart in this way. Frank sees a tortured teenager forced to step into the skin of a monster and asks him for forgiveness. Ching will not regret what happened to Sar to anyone. However, the guy also has someone to save. The monster is defeated. Frank strokes the monster's face and asks Sar to rest. The last thing Sar hears while still in the form of a monster is Chin's promise to kill the enemies of the last son of the Dan Zen clan. The next moment, a tortured, dead teenager lies in front of Frank. The robot reports that Sar has exhausted all his spiritual strength, so he can no longer be resurrected. Frank is declared the winner and receives 6 stones for his second victory. The robot wonders how the last attack, just a thunderstorm, could kill Sar's mighty body. During physical contact, Frank launched lightning through the monster's veins, which entered with the blood from its wounds. If lightning and thunder have reached a certain limit, a small discharge is enough to cover the entire area. The monster's blood is flammable, so the guy simply used lightning to make the monster explode from the inside. In this case, the more blood, the more powerful the explosion. Frank wants to continue. The robot invites the audience to take part in the fight. However, no one shows any desire to accept a fight that they know they will lose. The robot is extremely surprised by the lack of volunteers. He tells the boy that they can't continue unless there are people willing to fight. Here the image of the robot starts to shake. The guy thinks it's some kind of glitch, and then it disappears completely. The robot, in the form of a girl, is given permission to enter. Standing at the door, the artificial intelligence hears complaints of boredom. The Punisher notes that the robot looks great as always. The robot wonders why he was summoned by Madam Punisher. The Punisher wants to relieve boredom. The robot doesn't understand what we're talking about. The Punisher notes that the battle cannot continue, but she has a proposal in this regard. The robot knows that the Punisher cannot interfere in the process of evaluating newcomers. Punisher puts her arm around the robot's shoulder, saying that she can't help herself. The robot is so beautiful. She's just making a suggestion without interfering. After all, opportunity comes with risk in the world of murder. The Punisher is confident that the person will make the right choice. The blonde notes that she seems to have seen Frank somewhere. She wonders if he will kill the alien body from the Great Void. She has never heard of the Punisher interfering in worldly affairs before, so she doesn't understand what attracted her this time. Frank looks like her old friend. The robot explains the rules of the Hunter's game. All viewers will be given the same appearance. Ching enters the sacred ruins for exactly 1 hour. The audience is the hunters. Frank is the prey. If the hunters catch the prey, they are resurrected. If the prey is still alive after an hour, they win. If all hunters are killed by the prey, the role change will reward 500,000 points. Frank agrees to start the game. In the city ruins, the synergy of the 6 senses is excellent at detecting the movements of hunters, and the release of energy quickly destroys them. The power of 200 stars does not pose a serious threat. Chine is sorry that after death the hunters immediately disappear. He does not have time to use the extraction. A bullet is flying towards the guy, but it cannot overcome the protective dome. The shooter doesn't hide at all and simply fires into the sky. The shot turns into a spectacular fireworks display, which is clearly visible to all hunters. The hunters decide to split into 3 teams, 2 of which go on a detour. There is only 1 target, so the hunters are confident that their chances are better, although it is unclear how the heavenly law allows such unfair play. However, the hunters have no doubt that the target will demonstrate much greater power than in the 2 previous battles. Their expectations are in line with reality. The target laughs that they walked for a long time. Here the hunters become somewhat confused. Explosions are heard from the side where the patrol group should be. Hunters are racing for another target. One of them has the Eye of Truth, which shows a man from a small world with a fighting power of 420 stars. As a result, all 3 teams gather in one place, each confident that they were chasing the true goal. However, during the chase, 2 teams heard strange sounds. It was as if someone was singing a song about a tearful breakup and about love. The hunters don't understand what happened. And Frank, from above, counts how many hunters have gathered together. There are 54 hunters below, so we can begin. Together with the clones, the guy activates the secret mystery of the 5 elements and raging thunder. The hunters, who don't understand anything, suddenly fall down because the ground simply disappears from under their feet. The belated realization that they are trapped can no longer help. At the bottom of the pit, the hunters are met by rods, and the most agile ones, who are not pierced by the rods, are finished off by lightning. Hunters lose count trying to determine how many talents their target has. Some hunter was lucky enough to have a defense talent that protected him from lightning. The lucky guy desperately climbs up towards the curtain of hellfire. Frank developed this plan from the beginning. Because there are many hunters, he simply might not have time to kill them one by one. It is easier to destroy groups. The talent of earth control created a huge hole, and Ching placed rods at the bottom with the talent of metal control. From above, he created the appearance of untouched land, and together with the clones, he lured 3 groups into a trap at once. You can proceed to the next stage. The clone leads the hunters to a place where there is no room to turn around. Frank then attacks, surrounding the hunters with a wall of fire, after which it weakens the frame of the nearest building, which collapses on the hunters. And those who manage to crawl out from under the rubble are met with ice arrows. There were no survivors of the operation. Then a section of soil heats up, turning into magma. And the last group of hunters is lured straight to hell. Now Frank needs to lure out those who were hiding in secluded corners, just by pretending to be incredibly tired. And the quiet ones come out on their own, like moths to a flame. There are as many as 200 hunters like this. A spectacular finale is played out. Suddenly applause is heard from behind. The Punisher praises the impressive spectacle. The robot yells at Xena not to dare touch the applicant, but she just turns off the screen. She greets the guy by name, adding that the new name is unfamiliar to her. Then she introduces herself as Xena, the Punisher of Heaven, who proposed this game and the reward. The guy thinks that he should thank her for this. Xena advises against it because the offer is not selfless. According to the rules of heaven, the Punisher is not allowed to interfere with the trials of a newcomer. But the holy ruins are not controlled by heaven. Frank clarifies that everything was done in order to lure him here, voluntarily. The Punisher gets down to business. With one hit, the guy spins like a top. The counterattack only amuses Xena without causing the slightest damage. But Ching feels her blow with all his guts. The Punisher grabs him by the leg and thrashes him in all directions, like a capricious child with a boring rag doll. At the same time, he laments how powerful Frank was before and how helpless he has become now. Xena throws the guy like a cannonball, and he overtakes him in flight, promising to kill him here today. Frank bites again. Having recovered slightly, the guy activates the talent of the 5 elements and launches a sphere like a nuclear bomb at the Punisher, sincerely hoping for success. But as a result, it slightly stains the Punisher's armor. Then Frank releases Ray. Ching is going to restrain Xena with shadow fetters and let the chick attack with golden flame. The ray rushes towards the target, activates the golden flame, and he simply cannot believe his eyes. Because the Punisher doesn't care about the flame, she simply grabs the chick in her fist. Xena reminds Loon that because of him, she became a pathetic Punisher of the heavens, endured ridicule and mockery. But for thousands of years, she endured everything, because she knew that Lung couldn't die. Xena watched the pretenders and waited for him to appear so she could kill him again. Frank sees the abuse of Ray and in rage unleashes thunder on the Punisher. This does not cause any particular harm to Xena, but Luchek was able to escape to her owner. King wonders why the thunder was relatively effective. Perhaps the Punisher is affected by elemental talents? Frank activates earth and fire. Xena laughs that the tricks that killed the hunters won't work on her. Ching adds Ice Storm. The Punisher states that those who go through the rookie stage cannot defeat her. But the guy continues attack after attack. He systematically alternates between ice and fire. Because an immobilized Punisher is already an achievement, he lands a punch to the opponent's jaw. It seems to be turning out pretty well. But for the next blow, Xena exposes the permanently lowered visor of her helmet. The ricochet blow throws Frank and Ray back. The Punisher laughs, saying that ice and magma are just stupid. She tears out a piece of ruins which forms into a sphere. Xena likes the look on Frank's face and wants to show off her power. The sphere flies towards the guy, which has a low regeneration rate due to lack of energy. The sphere collapses. Xena freezes in anticipation, and he understands that the guy's pet has the skills to control not only fire, but also space. The Punisher grabs Chin in his arms, saying how lucky he is, and again he throws it against the wall. Intending to jump on top and crush with his feet, Frank dodges. Xena wants to see how fast Ching runs, or rather, he runs away from the boulder she throws. After all, when fighting, the guy can't heal, and without healing, the bird will die. Ray saved her owner by teleporting, but the boulder damaged her lungs and heart. Frank attacks again. Xena laughs that the same tricks are boring. The Punisher offers his opponent to simply surrender to avoid a painful death. Then he immediately catches up with him again to strike again. Xena's clone is simply torn to pieces and is very outraged by such impudence. The guy dares to try to deceive her. She intends to finish off the rest of the clone, who nevertheless does not give up even with one hand. Ching specifically attacked with thunder to interrupt the clone's chance. The clone fools Xena and leads her away from the guy who is with the pet in the underground cave he created. Frank gives Ray an elixir to restore his energy, and he himself takes a bottle for company. Ching feels that Xena has already killed the clones. He asks the beam to teleport them up. And off we go. Xena laughs that Frank, although he quickly came to his senses, cannot even touch her, but continues his fruitless attempts. In desperation, the guy hits his helmet. The Punisher's headdress falls to the ground with a clang. Xena laughs heartily, saying that he even knocked off her mask in search of a weak spot, but this is not it. The Punisher's eyes resemble the shutter of a camera lens. The pupil simply disappears in them. Something strange happens at this point. It's as if Frank's skin, blood vessels, flesh, and bones are being peeled away, all at once, but separately. Xena is simply euphoric at this sight. The guy bursts into something through a window opening. It seems to him that the soul was separated from the body, but not at all like during the attack of the undead in Taya. Now the sensations are much more real. Xena is right there in the window. She likes the way her fist crashes into the guy's flesh. She simply revels in the feeling of superiority. And her vision skill is best considered a last resort. Eyes have magical powers. What is blocked by the gaze ceases to function. If a blocked person tries to move, his body and soul are torn apart. Frank freezes in place. Xena adds that it's like the effect of a camera. You freeze. The photo is beautiful. You move. The photo is blurry. Chin asks Luchik to help him find the Punisher's weak points. And Xena activates the Magic Eye snapshot again. But this time the guy was standing behind her and found out that there are blind spots. True, the blind spots do not extend to the Punisher's fist. The guy is taking quite a beating. When Xena blinks, her pupil simply disappears, as if hiding inside. Frank moves away 100 meters. But the ability Magic Eye's snapshot easily gets him here. And after her, Xena's fist. So, slowly moving away, Ching tries to find out the radius of the Punisher's talent. Who is impressed by the guy's endurance and ability to bear pain? Not many can endure heartbreaks so many times. Xena gets excited and wants to find out what her opponent's limits are. She also thinks about whether to start flaying his skin off him alive, millimeter by millimeter. Frank moves away 20,000 meters. Only now is the nightmarish feeling leaving him. But the Punisher immediately teleports closer so that Ching is in her zone of destruction. And then he immediately activates his signature Magic Eye snapshot. King confirmed his assumption. If you stay 20,000 meters away from Xena, she will not be able to use her magical eyes. The guy counterattacks while the Punisher catches the clone's eye. It seems to be working out pretty well. But then Ray reports that they have reached the border of the sacred ruins and that they cannot move further. The Punisher uses the explosive fist, and then the King's fist. Seeing such a prospect, the guy asks his pet to teleport. But alas, Ray doesn't understand why the teleportation didn't work. Frank, under the hail of fist blows, realizes that the chick was unable to concentrate on a specific point in space, distorted by the attack. Besides, the armor of the heavenly dragon is almost broken, and without it, it is impossible to survive. But Chin has an idea. Fearless Ray flies to Xena again, who again grabs the chick in her fist. Ray creates a bright flash of fire, reducing the destructive power of the golden flame, but greatly increasing its brightness. Blinded, Xena keeps screaming that Luna will kill her, and the phoenix slips out of her hand. Explosive fists destroy everything around, but the guy finds it easier to dodge blind attacks. Frank strikes, and he binds the Punisher with fetters, from which Xena emerges and screams in indignation. Are these funny and stupid abilities really the guy's entire arsenal? Childish tricks like these won't break her. The Punisher throws off his armor in a rage. Xena's anger is palpable. Frank doesn't understand why the Punisher got rid of her armor herself. And she screams that each part of her armor weighs 10 tons. And she is forced to wear armor to contain her true power of destruction, but she will willingly demonstrate her abilities to Chin. The first strike can be called simply a warm-up, as well as several subsequent ones. However, after removing the armor, the Punisher's speed is almost equal to Ray's teleportation speed. Gritting his teeth, Frank sends the reluctant pet into three-dimensional space. Xena immediately appears nearby, which practically launches the guy into space with one blow. The Punisher doesn't understand how Ching can continue to play the game with her without the ability to teleport. She is there before her opponent's body has time to land after her blow.